Our MC was a third-rated web novel artist who couldn't seem to get anything good out of his stories. In the end, he overworks himself and dies. Suddenly, he finds himself in hell, where he meets Yamaraja. Before our MC can get to rant, the king of hell lets him know that he is one lucky dude because he arrived with a unique number, and as a reward, our MC is given the opportunity to make a wish, but he is not allowed to wish to be God, which is pretty obvious by the way. Our MC then asks to be reincarnated into the world of a novel. The king of hell agrees to this and asks him for a specific novel that he wants, aside from the ones he wrote himself. He racks his head to find one where he remembers the plot, and he picks a novel with a trashy name, I Became the Delinquent Underachiever of Hunter School. The king then gives him 2 more favors. His first favor is to be sent 2 years before the story actually begins, and the second is a wish to be handsome just like celebrities, so he can finally get the chance to clap the girls. Our MC then has his soul transported into the body of Kang Shin-hyuk, who is obviously the trash dude. He failed his aptitude test, causing him to attend a regular school until another law was passed for him to get tested, and after honing his skills, he awakened as a hunter. Our MC realized that his second chance at life is about to get worse than the first, since he wasn't sent into the story's protagonist's body. Thanks to the memories that just surfaced, he remembers what kind of character Kang Shin-hyuk is. He's the homeroom teacher of the class next to the protagonist, who teaches swordsmanship. Our MC finally opens his eyes after a struggle with his mental self to realize that he is really inside Kang Shin-hyuk's body. He gets a call from the Chase Guild's finance team who wants him to confirm the agreement on his contract termination. The customer care assures him that he is free to call back if he runs into any issues, and after the call, Kang receives a credit alert of 38 million won in his bank account. His total balance ultimately sums up to 300 million. Kang's eyes light up in shock when he sees this, and the depression of being a trash character immediately disappears from his body. He jumps off the bed and stands by the window to fully embrace the fact that he is Kang Shin-hyuk. With the little he has seen in Kang's memories, he struggled, but with a balance of 300 million won, our MC believes that he has secured the bag. In his past life, he was barely surviving, but he had somehow stumbled upon his dream money. Even though monsters exist, he is glad that he is still in modern-day South Korea. In addition to being a 25-year-old dude, he is ridiculously handsome with a banging body. He basically has everything that he can ask for, which is money, good abilities, handsome looks, and in the end he is very young. Apparently he is now a B-rank hunter, but he is not as rich or popular as the story's protagonist, Lee Ji-seong. However, Kang doesn't care since all he wants is a simple life. In a shocking revelation, there are actually 2 protagonists in the novel. The original protagonist is Kim Do-hyun, but Lee Ji-seong was later transported into Kim's body. Lee Ji-seong then uses his knowledge of the plot to his advantage as he seeks the PowerPoints in places that were supposed to be useful for the original protagonist. In addition to this, he used his wealth to consume all sorts of elixirs since it was easy for him to get them. By doing all of these, he was finally able to reach Kim's talent level. However, our MC's path is quite different since he entered Kang's body. Our MC decides that he has no need to compete with the 2 protagonists in the story since he is obviously no match for them in the first place. He only wanted to be the protagonist so he could live a good life, but he is cool with what he has with Kang. However, a day will come in the future when the world will go into crisis. In the original story, Kim and Lee joined forces to fight the invaders in an attempt to protect the world. Now that he is a part of the story, Kang wonders if the 2 will be able to do it yet again, since they will turn out to be the last hope of humanity. Momentarily, Kang receives a text from the first hunter school informing him that he has been selected as the swordsmanship instructor. After seeing the text, Kang decides that he is just going to follow the original story until the world finally falls into chaos. Before heading to the school to resume his work as the swordsmanship instructor, our MC gets the time to look into the previous owner of the body. He realized that Kang's social life is just as trashy as it was in his past life. He basically has only 12 contacts on his phone, and it appeared like he intentionally turned his back on the world. In his past life, our MC had no interest in the things that made life exciting for others, like marriage and having kids. He was always saying he liked to be alone, and the fact that he is married to web novels. Apparently, he lost all hope in himself since he was a third-rated web novel artist, but in his current life, he aims to enjoy his life to the fullest. Shortly afterward, he reports to the school where he has been appointed as an instructor. He enters the office and excitedly introduces himself to the first dude he comes across, but the dude just stares at him like he is a ghost. Kang is about to die of embarrassment when the dude finally gets up to greet him. He introduces himself as Park Yeon-seok. Park lets him know that they are going to be seat buddies, and Kang lets off a huge smile, saying he is looking forward to working with Park. Just then, two ladies appear on the scene and start complimenting Kang's handsome features. Kang blushes, but he is not surprised since he used one of his wishes to get a handsome face. They ask him if he has been in a guild before, and he reveals that he recently left the Chase Guild. The ladies hear this and get even more flustered with him since the guild is a prestigious guild. The ladies continue heaping praises on him until a green-haired dude, Jong Hyun-sik, shows up. He reveals that he teaches spearmanship for the second-year students. He adds that he was in the Hwarang Guild, and he is also a graduate of the 6th Hunter School. Jong then asks Kang which hunter school he is from since he appears to be a popular dude. With a huge smile, Kang reveals that he didn't graduate from a hunter school. Immediately he says this, the atmosphere in the room changes, and one of the girls asks him how he was able to become a hunter without graduating from a hunter school. They assume that he studied abroad, but Kang lets them know that he is a native Korean, and he reminds them that there are hunters who didn't graduate from hunter schools. This finally kills the mood in the room, and Jong turns around to leave, saying Kang is nothing but a waste of time. The girls follow him as they talk about how they were excited to meet him because he was from the Chase Guild, but they are absolutely disgusted that he is from a non-hunter school. This causes a feeling of uneasiness in him, and this activates the system to load more memories of the previous inhabitant of the body. Apparently, there is a hunter factor test kit, and even though this is the most accurate way to confirm one's hunter aptitude, it is quite expensive. In the orphanage where Kang was raised, the director embezzled the money for the kit but was eventually arrested. This was when Kang later got tested, and they found out that he has the aptitude to be a hunter, but he had already graduated from a regular school, robbing him of the education that hunter school graduates have. The difference between the two sides later caused segregation, but a protest ensued, calling for the Anti-Non-Hunter Discrimination Act. After much pressure, the bill was passed, and those who graduated from non-hunter schools started getting jobs. But this only made the hatred between the two factions intensify. This is why it is not advisable for those from a non-hunter school to reveal their identity around those who graduated from a hunter school. Kang cannot believe that he is just learning something so important when he had already made a mistake. Park urges him to calm down since he understands that it's his first day, and things are already tense for him. Kang assures Park that he has nothing to complain about since he understands their perspective. Kang even believes he got into the school via special appointment, but Park lets him know that he passed the appointment exam and was scouted. Park lets him know that the other teachers might have misunderstood the situation. Jong and the girls make their way to a private place to talk about how their school is making a mistake by using special treatment to hire a teacher. Jong believes that Kang lacks the skills to teach the first-year students swordsmanship. However, Jong believes that the school must have had a reason for assigning Kang to the first-year students. The trio figures out that Kang is from an orphanage since he didn't attend a hunter school. They admit that he is handsome, but he doesn't have the foundation to back it up. One of the ladies plans to tell the first-year students to look for a separate swordsmanship tutor, since Kang is nothing but a quack. Just then, Kang appears on the scene while they are busy making fun of him. Kang tries to soothe out the rough situation between them by revealing that he didn't get appointed to the school via special treatment. However, Jong is not ready to let the situation cool off, as he tells Kang that he is more concerned about the fact that he was not taught in a hunter school. Jong walks off, telling Kang to mind his business and stay in his lane, but lets him know that he is free to become friends with the general subject teachers. One of the ladies then mentions the fact that Kang is a B-rank hunter, but Jong believes that Kang pulled a trick to get himself the said rank. Jong then suggests that they engage in a duel of honor if Kang is not happy with the way he's been treated. Jong is confident about his abilities since he is about to become an A-rank hunter. It finally dawns on Kang why the former inhabitant of the body was an outcast and couldn't socialize with people. He was also a failure in his past life, and he starts to realize that they were both unfortunate characters. However, Kang is not ready to accept the terms of being a loser anymore, and he tells Jong that he is willing to fight him in the duel. Jong laughs when he hears this, and he believes that Kang is accepting the duel because his honor is bruised and the presence of the ladies too. Jong then decides that he will give Kang just one chance to back down, but Kang insists that he wants to take on Jong in a duel. Kang says he can't stand on the side and allow Jong to talk trash about him because he attended a regular school. Kang takes it a step further, telling Jong that he is free to accept the duel after he has been promoted to A rank. Jong smiles horribly like a character in a horror film as he reminds Kang that he is liable for whatever injury he sustains during the duel. Kang shuts him up by telling him that he is bold, and he suggests that they use the spear training ground for the duel a week from then. Kang then points to the two ladies, telling them that they are witnesses to the duel. Jong wonders why Kang is so confident in himself, but he urges him to start looking for another job because he will definitely lose his current job. Later that day, Kang heads to his classroom, leaving the students blown away at how handsome he is. Kang was initially worried about how he was going to teach the students, but the moment he held the sword, the memories of the previous owner started flooding in. With this, he is able to show the students how to move with a sword. Everything was going so well in the morning, but the mood changed in the afternoon because the news about the duel had spread in the school. Kang's students see him as a dead man walking since he will be going up against the spear instructor. Kang knows that the ladies were the ones who spread the news because they are confident that Jeong will come out on top in the duel. Kang's students ask him if he will be fine, but he urges them not to be intimidated by status because all they need is an unbreakable spirit. Kang acts all confident in front of his students while telling them to focus on class since they will all get to know the result of the duel in just a week. Kang acted this way to create a sense of confidence in his students. After school, Kang takes a bus heading to a certain area in the city. He plans to change his fate, and to do this, he is heading to the location where the story's protagonist found something to help boost his ability. Kang heads into the cave while thinking about how he needs to find the secret that helped the protagonist not to become a hero and save the world, but to be strong enough to win the duel. Momentarily, he finds a portal where the internal cultivation method is said to be hidden. Without hesitation, he steps into the portal, and he finds himself in a frozen wilderness. Kang is blown away by this since he never knew a place like that existed. Kang is enjoying the scenery too much until he calls himself back to the real reason why he is there. Suddenly, he senses an overwhelming presence behind him, followed by what appears to be a sword strike. At the last second, Kang crashes into the snowy ground, dodging the strike to avoid getting cut in half. Kang is still trying to figure out what is happening when he hears a voice behind him, which turns out to be the voice of an old man in a white robe. The man commends Kang for dodging the surprise strike and says he is no ordinary man. Before Kang knows it, a sword is already at his neck, and the old man demands to know which sect he came from and why he is in the snowy plains. Kang is shocked when he realizes that the man is speaking to him in Chinese, but for some reason he understands it. He figures out that the previous inhabitant of the body understood Chinese. Kang slowly raises his hand, telling the old man that he is a teacher at the South Korean Hunter Academy and that he managed to enter the hidden location via a portal. The old man is genuinely confused after hearing these words from Kang, and he believes that he is not okay upstairs. Kang points to the portal, but for some reason, the old man can't see the portal. The old man reveals that he has been confined to the space for a very long time, and he stopped counting after 30 years. Kang also thinks the old man is spewing trash until he asks the man if he is Choyu Ryang. The old man confirms this and he asks Kang how he knows. It turns out that Kang knows this because Cho was the one who left the cultivation method that the protagonist got his hands on. However, Kang is surprised to see the old man because Seong didn't meet him in his own time. When the protagonist found the martial arts book, it was stated that Cho had already ascended to immortality, which is why he probably didn't meet him. Kang remembers asking to be sent 2 years into the novel before the story started, and it seems it was before Cho's ascension to immortality. Since Kang obviously can't say he read it in a book, he tells the old man that he heard the story a long time ago. Cho demands to hear the story, and Kang summarizes it, saying Cho was a hero who took down a terrifying dragon. Cho is pleased when he realizes that someone witnessed the battle, but Kang is glad that Cho believed him because he just pieced together what he saw in the novel. Just then, Kang bows his head, asking Cho to teach him real swordsmanship. Cho is surprised that Kang is suddenly asking him for guidance, but he refuses the request. He tells Kang that he will spare his life, but he urges him to leave. The old man turns around to leave, but Kang refuses to give up. He tells Cho that he has a duel coming up against a spearman. Kang starts talking about how everyone looks down on swords while spears are praised for their versatility. Kang admits that he can't defeat his opponent, which is why he came to the confined space to seek answers. However, since the old man is not ready to help him, Kang says he will return to the spear dude and beg him while admitting that the spear is the superior weapon. Cho cannot sit around and hear Kang trash talk his sword, and he decides to help him a bit. Kang is glad that his trick worked on the old man, who is obviously proud of his sword skills. Cho points his finger toward Kang and transfers some sort of energy into him that causes him intense pain. Cho reveals that he just injected vital yang energy into his meridians. He assures him that his dantian will be opened in 4 days, and he will feel the changes in 6 days. Cho lets Kang know that, with the little he has done for him, he shouldn't worry about someone beating him up ever again. Cho then tells Kang that he is free to come back after he has won the duel. Cho wants the world to know that the sword is still the greatest weapon. A week later, Kang and Jeong meet at the spear training ground for their duel. There are other teachers present in the hall, acting as spectators. Just as expected, Jeong makes fun of Kang, telling him to be prepared to be beaten up. Jeong doesn't see Kang as a threat, and he tells him that he is free to make the first move. Kang is not about to refuse the offer since he doesn't know if he is strong enough to take on Jeong yet. Kang leaps into the air with all the determination to win, whatever it takes. Kang lands a hit on Jeong, and surprisingly, one strike from Kang tears Jeong down to his underwear. Everyone watching is shocked as they see Zhang crash to the ground and pass out cold. Even Kang is shocked to see this, and the referee declares him the winner. The referee then calls for an ambulance because Zhang is totally out of commission. Kang stands there in horror, wondering what old man Cho has done to him. Kang is still in thought when Park comes running over to check on him. Park talks about how impressed he is with the way Kang handled Zhang with just a single strike. Kang reveals his plan to treat Park and the other staff to a meal to celebrate his win. The ladies walked out of the training ground, looking totally bitter and angry that Zhang lost to Kang. That night, Kang and the staff go out to have fun. They drink a lot, but when Kang gets home, his body goes through a self-purification process, thanks to what the old man did to his body. Kang wakes up in shock as he realizes that whatever the old man did to him is well over the top. Because of this, he has no choice but to return to the hidden world. Kang also plans to give thanks to Cho for helping him out. Kang walks through the harsh, cold lands, wondering if Cho really can't leave the portal like he said. He finds the old man where he is busy meditating, and he asks Kang if he was able to defeat the spear user. Kang reveals that he was able to do so with just one strike, and Cho concludes that the spear user is pretty weak. However, Kang argues against this and says he needs clarification on things, which is why he came to see him. Kang asks Cho what he did to him, and the old man replies that all he did was open his dantian so he doesn't get beaten up. The old man asks Kang when he has been practicing martial arts. The old man becomes more interested in Kang, and he calls him forward to hear his story. It finally dawns on Kang that he got stronger all thanks to martial arts. He then tells the old man that he knows nothing about martial arts. Cho is shocked to hear this, and he mentions that there was some level of internal energy in his body, which accumulated on its own because Kang usually wields a sword. Kang knows that when it comes to martial arts novels, internal energy is accumulated through martial arts, but hunters are quite different. Kang then asks Cho if he knew the name of his country before he found himself in the portal. Cho replies that his country is Ming, and the moment he says this, Kang figures out why Cho knows nothing. This is because he came from an entirely different world. Kang then tells Cho that the world he knew before is gone because martial arts no longer exist on the outside. Cho is shocked to hear this, and Kang continues, saying a different power emerged, and because of this, martial arts slowly disappeared. Kang chooses to tell him this rather than tell Cho that he is from a different world. Cho believes Kang, as usual, and he reveals that he has lost track of time because he has been in the portal for so long. Kang then asks the old man if he is hungry because he brought food for him. He hands Cho a sweet wrap, and Cho makes the perfect mew after taking the sweet. Cho talks about how people were eating ginseng back then to prevent smallpox. Kang then reaches into his box to bring out a chocolate bar for the old man. He assures him that he works for the cold, and Cho decides to have a taste. He bites down on the chocolate bar, and this sends him into a mewing state just like before. Cho enjoys the chocolate bar so much that he asks for more from Kang. In no time, Cho has consumed all the junk food brought for him by Kang, and he admits that the food on the outside tastes very good. Kang then asks the old man how he has been managing his hunger since there is no sign of fruit or even animals in the area. Cho then reveals something shocking. He says that since he arrived in the hidden realm, he has not had the urge to eat because all he needs is just, and he is already fine. Kang realizes that he is in the presence of an insane martial artist and starts thinking of just running home. After Cho confirms that martial arts are gone and martial artists have been replaced by hunters, he reveals that he has been looking for a way to ascend to immortality. Since there are no martial arts in the outside world, Cho concludes that Kang is the only martial artist. Cho knows that Kang has felt what true power is, and he asks him how he plans to use the power. Kang rambles, talking about how he just wants to live normally and happily. Cho is shocked but impressed, and he finally asks for an introduction from him. Cho can sense the fact that Kang is not greedy, and he is also a teacher. Because of all of these good traits, Cho tells Kang that he is willing to take him as his disciple. In a shocking turn of events, Kang refuses the offer point blank. Cho is forced to ask again to know if he heard right or not. Kang maintains his answer, telling the old man that he has no intentions of getting stronger because he only wanted help to win in the duel, and he has gotten it. He wants to go back and start living a normal life. And when he says this, the old man realizes that he is not lying. Cho then tells him that he is free to leave because he wants to make preparations for his ascension. Kang then asks him how it is that he plans to ascend to the realm of immortals. Cho reveals that he has plans to reach there by reaching the peak of martial arts, and he has already done that. In addition, he can get there by building a virtue, but he has also done this by rendering help to Kang. He lets Kang know that all he needs is a bit more cultivation, and he is going to ascend. Since he is ascending, he doesn't see any reason to leave behind cultivation techniques or manuals. Kang is shocked to hear this, and Cho adds that he doesn't see a need to do that since there is going to be no one to read it. After all, there are no martial arts again in the outside world. Kang never expected this sudden turn of events, since Xiong won't get the techniques and martial arts secrets if Cho doesn't leave them behind. By doing this, Xiong won't be able to catch up to Kim, and Kim won't see any reason to push himself to get stronger. In the end, the world will end up in chaos and total destruction. Kang finally realizes that he has changed a major plot even though he was just trying to move on the sides. Kang immediately begs the old man to take him as his disciple, saying he didn't think well before making his decision. Cho is surprised to see Kang changing his mind, and Kang reveals that it would be a waste for Cho's martial arts to go to waste. Kang plans to learn the techniques so he can later relax and enjoy his life. To further convince the old man, Kang assures him that he is going to bring him loads of food. Cho then lets Kang know that his training will be much worse than before, and Kang assures the man that he is up for it. After the duel, the news went viral in the school about how Zhang was defeated and the fact that he wears SpongeBob underwear. All those he has looked down on used this as an opportunity to mock him on the group chat. Park obviously does not like Zhang, which is one of the reasons why he was satisfied with the way Kang beat him up. Kang's win also proved to some that those who graduated from regular schools also have skills. In addition, they are all happy about Kang's character because he didn't ask for a reward, but, unknown to them, he actually forgot to. However, Kang is pleased with the kind reception that he is getting from everyone in the school. Kang believes that with this, he is slowly getting closer to his dream life. Since he has already told Cho that he will be coming for training every weekend, Kang plans to enjoy life during the week. Kang enters his classroom to find his students in an upright position, and the moment he enters, they all salute him out of respect. The students assure him that they are going to remain confident, just like he advised them to. They have all heard about how Kang absolutely crushed Zhang, and Kang asks the students how they knew, since the staff were the only ones allowed to watch the fight. Apparently, one of the students has an older brother who is a teacher in the school, and he was the one who told them the story. Kang smiles before telling the kids to open their books and focus on the lecture. Kang is absolutely thrilled with the happy life that he is currently getting, and he plans to hold on to it. During lunch break, Kang heads to the cafeteria to collect food. The situation ultimately becomes awkward between him and the serving attendant as Kang asks for more portions of food than others. Kang gets to his table to eat while smiling because his plate is filled with different types of dishes. Kang is enjoying his meal when a lady suddenly appears, asking him if he is the Mr. Kang who teaches swordsmanship at the school. Kang confirms this, but he is more focused on the mountain of food that the lady has on her plate. She then sits down with Kang, forcing the dude to ask if the lady knows him. The lady smiles, saying Kang is quite the actor. She urges Kang to take a chill pill since there is no CCTV inside the cafeteria. With the way she is talking to him, Kang can see that the lady actually knows him. However, he doesn't know why he can't recognize her since the memories of the previous inhabitant usually come flooding back if he runs into someone he knows. The lady then finally reveals her name when she realizes that Kang is acting totally clueless. She says her name is Siora, and the moment she says this, Kang finally realizes that she seems like a familiar person. He remembers that there is a particular choice Siora in the contacts on his phone. Siora smiles, believing that Kang already knows who she is. She says her appearance might be different because she slightly changed her look to match that of a teacher, since she is working at the school. While saying all of this, Siora is busy laughing, while Kang, on the other hand, is just wondering what is going on. Kang remembers that in the novel, Siora ends up becoming Xiong's homeroom teacher. Apparently, she is also an important character in the second volume because she's a member of the international criminal organization, Antagonist. She is basically a villain in the book. Just then, more of Kang's previous memories start to flood in. Apparently, Antagonist, also called Antas, is an anti-hunter organization. They were responsible for the annihilation of countless hunters, which makes them the enemy of the International Hunter Alliance. However, this group is elusive, and they operate in the dark, which makes them really hard to capture. Siora notices that Kang is still tense, and she reminds him to calm down, saying there is no surveillance in the room. Kang obviously read the story to the end, but he doesn't remember the part where his character joined the criminal organization. Just then, the system informs him that a side story has just been unlocked. Basically, Kang is about to branch on a story that makes him an Antas assassin, and this shocks Kang to his bones. He remembers that he has no memories of Kang joining Antas, but then it suddenly dawns on him that the novel was finished, and the author mentioned in an interview that he was working on a side story. The system tells him that he can now view the prologue to the side story, and without hesitation, he quickly views it. It turns out that during his early days in the guild, he had a companion whose name was Chang Su. Chang Su was the one who reported the orphanage director and also rescued Kang. 2 years ago, the two were returning from a mission when another portal opened beside them and unleashed a barrage of monsters toward them. They requested backup, but because another team was also in an accident, the two didn't get the backup that they requested. Kang saw Changsu like an older brother and the only family he had, but Changsu had to sacrifice himself for Kang to live. After Changsu's death, the guild simply sent a report that they had no capacity to help. They claim monsters had appeared in the city too, so they had to sacrifice the few to save the many. However, Kang was no fool, and he knew that everything was about factions. He and Changsu were both graduates of a regular school, and because of this, they were always pushed to the sides. Angered by this, Kang requested an overseas deployment, and he was sent to China. However, he returned to Korea after a year. When he started considering leaving the guild, he was approached by Seora, who suggested that he join Antas. This was basically what happened, and it turns out that Kang has his own backstory. After he was approached by Seora, he wasted no time joining, and he even started sending half of his income as a donation to Antas. Apparently, he once asked Seora out too, but he was turned down, and he tried to play it like a man by becoming friends with Seora. It turns out that he actually applied for the hunter school just so he could be near Seora. Our MC cannot believe that the previous Kang is so trash that he joined the organization not because of revenge, but because of Seora. Kang is still going through these memories when Seora asks him if he is okay. Still trembling from shock, he nervously answered that he was fine. Kang thought he was already having his life together, but he couldn't believe that he was suddenly a member of a crime syndicate. Seora then tells Kang that she is impressed that Kang was able to get himself hired by the school, since it is always a difficult thing to achieve. It turns out that Kang actually passed the exam on the first try, which shows how much he really liked the girl. Sora then asks Kang how he has been settling in school, and he replies that he has been coping. Sora mentions that she was hurt when she found out that Kang had gotten into the school without telling her. Kang simply replies that things were hectic, which is why he didn't. Sora then asks Kang why he didn't send any donation for the current month. Kang hears this and realizes that he can't keep sending money to the organization unless he plans to suffer after his retirement. Seora is shocked when Kang tells her that he no longer has intentions of sending donations. However, Seora is not pissed since Kang has given a lot of money in the past. In addition, Kang is now a teacher who earns little, and they can't expect him to donate out of the little. Seora reveals that all donations are basically voluntary, and when our MC hears this, he can't believe just how trash Kang was. Seora then tells Kang that there is the possibility that his rankings have also risen since he defeated a B-rank hunter. Seora smiles at Kang, telling him that she wants them to change the world together, but Kang sees this as a clear invitation to destroy the world. Unlike other criminal organizations, Antas has a rule about not touching civilians or the innocent. In addition, they are not even allowed to touch hunter school students unless it is a desperate situation. Kang figures out that Seora's role in the organization most likely revolves around the recruitment of students. However, this is the only stuff he knows because of what he read in the novel. He wonders if there are any other secrets that are hidden in the side story. Kang then asks Seora what his mission is, and the lady tells him to just focus on adjusting to school life. She urges him to make some friends along the way too. Kang then requests more details, claiming that he wants to know more so he can make plans. Seora stands up to leave and tells Kang that they will have to meet regularly if he wants more details. She suggests that they meet on the last Tuesday of every month. Kang wonders why she picked Tuesdays, and Seora reveals that there are usually no office dinners on Tuesdays, so they can grab dinner then. With this, Seora leaves. By the weekend, Kang resumes his training with Cho. Because he is impressed with Kang's growth, Cho decided to write a secret manual to help guide his inner energy circulation with his martial arts techniques. Cho tells Kang that he has helped him open his Dantian, but it is up to him to master it. Cho lets him know that he has to engage in a practice where he circulates internal energy through his entire body every day to properly get the hang of it. Kang focuses on meditation instead of giving a reply, and this earns him a punch to the head. He screams in pain while telling the old man that he is disturbing his focus. However, Cho says Kang is not focusing in the first place because he can clearly see that he is troubled from the way his inner energy is flowing. Kang is surprised to see that the old man can sense his worries just from his energy flow, and Cho mentions that the energy flow is just like breathing. Cho then tells Kang that he is free to tell him whatever is on his mind because he is open to help. Kang then asks the old man if he looks like a good person or a bad person. Cho simply replies that it is up to him to do good or bad, since only those with power are the ones worrying about this. He tells Kang that losers in war are always considered the bad guys since they are dead and can't tell their own side of the story. Cho mentions that good or bad are nothing but illusions without power, because those who were involved in the Great War between good and evil blood cultists all suffered early deaths. After giving out his word of wisdom, Cho asks Kang if it was helpful, and he says yes. Cho then demands that Kang fetch him a chocolate bar. The last line from Cho's advice got to Kang because it doesn't matter if he is on the good or bad side. As long as he is involved, he risks dying in the war. Kang is someone who just wants to make money and enjoy his life, and this basically contradicts that. This causes Kang to request a meeting with Seora. Seora is surprised that Kang is already calling for another meeting when they already made plans that they were going to meet at the end of the month. With a serious face, Kang tells Seora that he has something to tell her. He asks Seora if he is free to quit Antas, but this immediately sparks a scary reaction from Seora, who rushes toward Kang's head with a fork. Everyone present in the restaurant is shocked when they see this. They immediately start assuming that Kang cheated on his girlfriend. Kang was already expecting a crazy reaction, but he didn't know Seora would take it a bit further. Seora then demands further explanation of what Kang said. Kang promises to explain, but suggests that they leave the restaurant since there is already too much attention on them. Kang says they should head to his car because he has things that he wants to show her. Momentarily, the two enter his vehicle and they start driving to Incheon. Seora asks the dude why they are driving to Incheon, and he says he needs to show Seora something because words alone will not cut it. Seora still has the fork on Kang's neck, telling him that he has to explain what he said in the restaurant. Kang then mentions that he joined Antas because of the discrimination against non-hunter school graduates. However, he believes that things have started changing. Seora laughs at Kang for believing things have changed just because he won a duel. Kang says he is not 100% sure, but he can see a possibility. Kang says he wants to do things by himself without involving Antas, since Antas's way of doing things is a bit extreme. Kang says there is a lot about Antas that doesn't align with what he wants, like the terrorism and the way they kill people without thinking twice. Seora then mentions that not all the terror attacks were caused by Antas because some were pinned on them by the government. She then adds that everyone who died deserved it. Kang argues with the lady, saying no one deserves to die. Seora is pissed that Kang is worried about the missions when he isn't the one carrying them out. Kang admits that he is scared, and he urges Seora to put down the fork. Seora then withdraws a bit, but there is already a mark on his neck. Kang already knows that it is not going to be easy to leave a criminal organization, but he has already come prepared. Kang then tells Seora to search the news about the Hunter Management Agency Deputy Director Min Young-seok's assassination. Apparently, Min Young-seok embezzled tens of billions. Kang admits the dude deserved to die, but he doesn't think his driver and the two other passengers who were involved in the truck collision actually deserved to die. The driver lost his wife in his early life, and he lived alone with his daughter. It turns out that he wasn't even a full-time employee, but a contracted driver with the management agency, and he ended up dying, leaving his daughter without parents. Kang then asks Seora if the driver was involved in Min Young-seok's corruption. Seora calmly replies that he wasn't. Apparently in the book, the driver's daughter is Lee Soa, and she is still going to play a huge role in the story when she gets entangled with the protagonist. Kang reminds Seora that after Min Young was killed, some praised Antas for exposing his corrupt practices, but the driver was buried on the side. Seora is surprised to hear this, and she claims that there must have been a mistake because the rules clearly state that they can't touch civilians. Kang laughs when he hears this, and he asks Seora if she thinks the driver is the only civilian who has died just because they were near an Antas target. Seora holds her head in pain and frustration when she hears this. She knows the answer to this deep down, but she has been ignoring it. Kang is glad that he is able to get through to her, and he believes that things might be easy going forward. Suddenly, Seora changes the conversation, asking Kang if he has any idea why she turned down his proposal. Kang replies that it is a bit late for that, but Seora returns the fork to his neck, telling him to listen to what she has to say. Seora mentions that both her parents died in the Great Portal accident that happened 15 years ago. This was when she was still very young. Kang is shocked to hear this since it wasn't in the novel, and he concludes that it is going to be a part of the side story. Kang admits that Seora must have gone through a hard time, but he still doesn't see how that connects with her rejecting his proposal. Seora pushes the fork further into his neck, causing him to start pleading, and he assures her that he's going to stay quiet. Seora reveals that the portals that appeared in her neighborhood had the highest rating. There were 4 D-rank portals and 2 C-rank portals. This was obviously the area that needed the most help, and it was also close to the association, but no hunter came to the rescue. However, dozens of hunters were sent to the rich neighborhoods where only F-rank portals had opened. Kang is surprised to hear this since it is supposed to be a major incident, but he doesn't remember reading it in the novel. Seora then mentions that the incident was reported by the media. Those rich people who got protection were the ones who covered it up with money. Seora admits that she never would have known if she had never dug to find out the truth. Kang finally realizes that Seora might have gone to a hunter school, but this was the turning point, and this is why she ended up in Antas. In tears, Seora says she wanted to explain why she rejected him, but all she has said so far is about her parents. Seora then admits that she actually liked Kang, but she can't push aside her feelings for revenge until she has done what is right by her parents. Seora wants Kang to propose to her again after she has gotten her revenge. Kang simply holds out his head in the car, wondering if there is any parent who would want their child to join a terrorist organization because of revenge. Kang knows that the former inhabitant of the body would have helped Sora get his revenge, but he is a totally different person who has no emotional attachment to Sora. Kang knows that his life will be much better if he just walks away, since he already knows the future thanks to reading the novel. Kang is already thinking of cutting Sora off so he can enjoy his life when he suddenly senses the old Kang touching him on the shoulder, asking our MC for help. Kang is totally lost in this that he almost runs into another car until Sora calls back his attention to the road. Sora believes that Kang is under pressure because there is a fork to his neck, and she promises to put it down. However, Kang is still rattled by what he saw, and he asks Sora if she knows who she is supposed to get revenge on. Sora is shocked by the question, and she asks Kang if he has changed his mind, but Kang urges her to just answer the damn question. Sora then reveals that the director of the Hunter Management Agency back then was Kim In-hak. However, she is confident that he didn't give the orders alone. Kang then tells Sora that Kim would have gotten even more powerful at the moment than he was back then, since he was already a director 15 years ago. Sora then asks Kang if he is taking back his decision to quit, but Kang says no. He still has intentions of quitting, but he wants to personally help Sora. Sora is confused, and she asks Kang how he plans to help her since it's a difficult task for Antas themselves. Kim is not just someone that they can easily get to, and Kang assures Sora that it might currently be difficult, but it will become easy later. Apparently, Kim is now a congressman, and he kept rising in the ranks until the protagonist finally stepped in. On the other hand, Sora was exposed as an agent for Antas, and she was arrested. Even though she wasn't sentenced to death, she got life imprisonment without parole. Basically, everything happened 3 years from now in the current timeline. Since Kang already knows everything, he tells Sora that Antas will not help her get revenge. Sora wants to know how Kang knows this, but Kang has no way of telling her unless he shows her. Kang then gives Sora one condition too. He says he will help her, but she has to leave Antas with him. Sora is shocked to hear this, and she tells Kang that there is no way she's going to get revenge without Antas. Kang argues with Sora, telling her that she will understand everything once they arrive at the location he is taking them to. Apparently they are on their way to Antas's source of funding, where they sell drugs. Momentarily they arrive at what seems to be a clothing store. This is Kang's first time coming there, but he knows that the clothing brand is just a cover-up for what they are actually doing behind the scenes. Basically, the store is Antas China's drug distribution in Korea. Kang walks up to the attendant and he converses with him in Chinese, asking him if they sell Genesis at the store. The attendant plays dumb, but Kang lets him know that he is aware of everything and urges him to just sell the Genesis for him. The attendant slowly reaches under his table while still playing a fool. The attendant whips out a knife and tells Kang to get lost, insisting that they sell wholesale. Kang smiles when he hears this, and he lets the attendant know that he got the information from Mei-lin. Kang asks for the attendant's name, threatening to tell Mei-lin. The attendant is shocked when he hears this, as he doesn't expect Kang to know Mei-lin. Kang reveals that he was pretty close to Mei-lin when he was in China, and she was the one who told him where the Korean distribution point was. Obviously, this was nothing but a lie because Mei-lin is the daughter of Antas China's boss, and she is also the one who is in charge of distributing the drug in Korea. Since Kang is a piece of trash, there is no way he knows Mei-lin. Kang only used this as a last resort. Kang tells the attendant that he is willing to call Mei-lin in case he doesn't believe him. However, he tells him to be prepared for whatever consequence follows. The attendant quickly apologizes for the mix-up, saying he didn't know Kang was such an important person. The attendant then rushes to the back to get the drugs, and Kang tells him to get as much as he can. After he is gone, Sora asks Kang what he was discussing with the dude in Chinese. Kang then tells Sora that they came to buy drugs, but he knows she will not believe him unless she sees for herself. Kang lets Sora know that they are in a store that distributes drugs for Antas. Sora is shocked to hear this since this is the first time she will learn that Antas make drugs. Basically, Antas became known to the public after the emergence of the protagonist. Antas Korea and Antas China soon got into a conflict over profit sharing. The protagonist then shows up to wipe them both. Kang tells Sora that he will urge the attendant to speak Korean when he comes back, just in case she doesn't believe him. Momentarily, the attendant returns with a bulk load of drugs, telling Kang that they just opened, which is why the drug supply isn't huge yet. The drugs that he brought out are worth a month of sales, but he wants Kang to put in a good word for him with Mei-lin. Kang assures him that he would, but suggests that they switch to Korean. The attendant is worried about Sora, but Kang assures him that it is all fine since she is also crazy about Genesis. The situation soon becomes awkward, and Sora tries to save face by giving a thumbs up, but this just makes her look like a crackhead. This is enough to convince the attendant that Sora even needs help, not more drugs. Kang then asks the attendant about the next batch of supplies coming in, and the attendant reveals that it is going to take a while before it gets to Korea. However, the attendant says it might come faster since Kang is closer to Mei-lin, Sora then whispers to Kang, asking him if Mei-Lin is real or a fake identity. Kang lets her know that there is no way he is going to risk his life coming to the store without being sure. Kang understands that Mei-Lin is a top officer and there is no way she is going to know her. The attendant then asks Kang how he wants to pay for the supply that he just gave him. Kang asks if he can use a card, but the attendant laughs, saying the use of a card is prohibited. He tells him to stop joking around and just pay in cash. Kang then proposes another offer, saying he will pay installments, but the attendant is not ready to take installments. Suddenly, Kang hits the attendant in the head with a powerful punch. He focused his internal energy into his fist, just like the old man taught him. Apparently, this type of strike induces brain amnesia. The attendant passes out cold on the ground, and Kang knows that he is definitely waking up brain dead, but he doesn't care since he is a lowly substance dealer. Kang then turns to Sora, asking if she now believes what he was saying, but lets her know that she is free to still have her doubts. Sora is blown away, and she asks Kang how he knows everything that he does. Kang reveals that he only joined the association because Sayora suggested, but he started conducting investigations to know what sort of group he is associating himself with. Kang says he found out that Antas was into substances when he was in China. Kang then suggests that they leave the store, but they are going to pin everything that just happened on the unconscious dude. Kang has no intention of reporting the store to the police because Antas can simply replace the dealer and even open another store somewhere else without affecting them. Sayora finally tells Kang that she believes everything that he has been telling her. Because of this, she plans to explain his resignation to the higher-ups. She lets Kang know that she will tell the higher-ups that Kang was on her neck about their relationship, which is why she kicked him out. With this, she is confident that there will be no investigation. Even though Kang doesn't like the idea, he sees it as the best way out. Suddenly, it dawns on Kang that Sayora has no intention of quitting, even after learning about all the bad things that they do. Sayora then reminds him that she has been in association for a long time, and she is basically an officer. She already knows a lot, and they won't just allow her to quit. Kang finally understands what Sayora is saying. He is not more than a newbie in the association, while Sayora is deeply rooted with them. Kang wants to argue, but realizes that the future might change if Sayora doesn't stay in Antas. He decides to let Sayora stay in Antas until the protagonist discovers the crime syndicate. Kang then asks Sayora if she has committed any crime in all the missions she has undergone for Antas. Sayora says no, telling Kang that her job is basically to scout students with talent. However, this isn't something that is even easy, so she hasn't even recruited anybody. Kang is relieved to hear this, and he tells Sayora that he has a plan. He wants Sayora to be a double agent. Sayora is stunned when she hears this, and Kang lets her know that this is a way to protect her, just in case they finally discard her. Kang tells Sayora that she will collect Antas's secrets and give them to the police. When it comes to going on missions for Antas, she will basically do trash missions for them. By being a double agent, she is not going to have any charges against her. Sayora then says she has nothing that she can tell the police, but Kang lets her know that even minor info would be helpful. He then assures Sayora that he is going to testify for her just in case she gets in trouble. Kang then adds that Sayora should be careful in trusting him because he will definitely cut her off if things go south. Sayora smiles and concludes that Kang obviously likes her. Kang, on the other hand, looks at her disgustingly, telling Sayora that she is free to think whatever she wants. Kang then tells her to head back to Seoul by herself because he has something he needs to attend to. Even after hearing this, Sayora believes that Kang is just playing hard to get. After leaving Sayora, Kang heads to the hidden realm to see the old man. Cho notices that Kang came late, and he asks him if he was able to sort out the issue troubling him. Kang says yes while thanking Cho for his advice. Cho lets him know that he is going to be punished for coming late, but Kang already has something planned for the old man. He tells him that he branched out in Chinatown before coming, and he brought some bamboo leaf liquor. He then tells the old man that he is free not to drink it since they are planning to drink. However, the old man cannot resist the liquor, and he immediately suggests that they take the day off. Moments later, Cho is enjoying the drink with Tofu while praising Kang. He asks him how he figured out that he was from Sichuan. Kang cannot believe that the old man who was scolding him some moments ago is basically enjoying the liquor he served him. The old man then says he was only worried because Kang was later than usual. Cho then asks Kang why he has suddenly changed because he was slacking off in training, but now he wants to train harder. While Cho is busy enjoying himself, Kang is swinging his sword around, practicing his moves. Kang claims that the drink was just a kind gesture to appreciate the man for advising him. Kang is ready to train his heart out because he knows that his decision to help Sayora will have powerful people coming after him. It is obvious that there was no section in the novel where Sayora became a double agent. Kang is also aware that he is already strong enough to fight an A-rank hunter, but he knows that he is going to end up dead if he goes up against a high-ranking Antas official like Mei-Lin. Kang smiles when he remembers that he is just a B-rank swordsmanship instructor who has no business helping people. Apparently, the protagonist, Seong, only stumbled upon a manual and was able to get stronger after several training sessions and elixir consumption. Kang, on the other hand, is lucky to have had his dantian opened by a swords grandmaster. While Kang is still practicing, Cho is busy eating, commending the delicious tofu. Since Cho is a really powerful swordsman, Kang figures out that he is going to be able to protect himself if he receives constant training from the old man. Just then, Cho calls on Kang, telling him that they have run out of ramen, and he likes it. He also tells him to buy another delicious food ingredient, but this is just getting on Kang's nerves. However, he maintains his cool because Cho is the strongest dude in the world. Kang then tells Cho that he will buy more of the things that he likes when coming back, but the old man just keeps adding more to the list. Kang agrees to get him everything that he wants and continues his training, but the old man's eating won't stop affecting him. Every aroma keeps passing by his nose, and when he finally can't take it anymore, he is forced to speak out, telling the old man to stop eating too much. The old man doesn't care and even asks Kang if he is willing to join him. Kang then reveals that he missed eating, which is why he is taking his time to enjoy the food. Cho soon gets mad about Kang's nagging him, and he punches him in the head. Cho says he is finally getting his sense of taste back after years. Cho admits that he likes the fact that Kang is showing motivation, but lets him know that rushing things will turn out badly for him. Kang then screams at the man, saying he appears to be uninterested in his training. Cho lets Kang know that he is doing pretty well on his own. The old man adds that he is destined for greatness, but tells him that he can't get there by rushing. However, Kang doesn't see himself improving because he has been training for a month. Cho argues, saying Kang can't see the difference because he is genuinely good at it. Cho is more surprised by the fact that Kang is not eager to get stronger. Kang scolds the old man, saying he is more interested in his ramen than in his training stance. Kang then demands that the old man give him some shortcuts if he is not ready to teach him properly. This only earns him another punch to the head. Cho scolds him for asking for shortcuts already when he basically just started training. Kang rolls on the snow in pain while Cho asks him if he is planning to conquer the world, which is why he wants to get stronger. Kang stares at the old man disgustingly, and the man threatens to punch him again. Cho mentions that martial arts is not something to learn by rushing. Just then, Kang decides to resort to something drastic. He tells the old man that he won't be able to buy any more ramen because the prices have gone up. Cho is stunned to see that the dude is actually threatening him. Kang replies that he is not threatening him but laying out the real situation of things. He then adds that he might not be able to buy the ones that the old man likes again. Basically, Kang says that everything he is buying for the old man has gone up, and he won't be able to buy them. This is able to get to Cho, who is not ready to lose all the ramen and delicious food that he has been getting from Kang. Cho falls for Kang's threats as he tells him that he will start teaching him diligently and also appreciate everything he is buying for him. After hearing this, Kang says he will also make an effort to get Cho the things that he likes. Cho then suggests that they continue training, but tells him that he is not to be blamed for the intensity of the training. Kang doesn't care as long as he receives the best training. The next day, Kang gets a text from Seora, telling him that everything has been sorted. Kang is pleased to hear this, but at the same time he is worried that his previous self might have left behind more problems for him. Nonetheless, he plans to help Seora out and just enjoy the rest of his life in peace. Just then, two sisters, who are twins, show up to his office. Kang is shocked and he asks the girls if they are not going for lunch. The two reveal that they are going, but they want Kang to join them for lunch before heading to the auditorium. Kang is surprised by this as he wonders why he needs to go to the auditorium. The sisters then remind Kang of what the vice principal said during the morning assembly. Apparently, Kang has an interview for the school's new YouTube channel. It finally dawns on Kang that the girls are telling the truth, but he was so busy that he totally forgot. Since Kang is the best-looking teacher, he is picked for the first interview. Kang is not entirely pleased with the interview, and the girls tell him that he might actually get a bonus if everything goes well. Kang admits that the girls are actually right. They hand him a note containing the questions that he will be asked during the interview. They urge him to go through the questions beforehand. Apparently, the school principal will also be reviewing everything before it is uploaded, showing just how official everything is. After telling him everything he needs to know, the girls prepare to leave. But before they do, they tell Kang that there is one more thing he needs to know. Apparently, the student council president will also be present for the interview. The girl says they are going to stick to the questions for the most part of the interview, but the president has a weird personality and might just come up with strange, unplanned questions. Kang is not worried about any strange questions as long as they don't ask him about his love life. The twins let him know that he doesn't have anything to worry about when it comes to that, but they urge him to give a signal if he is uncomfortable so that they can cut the video. Kang is glad to hear this, and he urges the girls to do right by him. Since he knows what sort of people council presidents always turn out to be, He is looking forward to what the current council president will be like. On the other hand, the student council president can't wait to meet Kang. Apparently, it was the government that came up with the idea of creating a YouTube channel for schools because there are a lot of speculations about what is going on inside the school. However, this policy wasn't implemented immediately, and this was why the first Hunter School was asked to be the pilot of the program. Since there was no mention of the idea in the novel, Kang thought it would not stand. He can't believe how bad his luck is to be the one to grant the first interview. Kang soon enters the room where the recording will take place. He meets the technology teacher, Min Ji-hye, in the room. Min will be the one to edit the interview, and Kang can see how nervous she is. Kang lets him know that it is going to be his first interview too, so he is pretty nervous. Kang commends Min for having the knowledge on how to edit a video. Min then reveals that she really doesn't know how to, but the principal pushed the idea to her since she is the tech teacher. Min mentions that since she is not getting paid to do it, she's going to do a rush job and just head back home. She also knows that they obviously might not give her a bonus if it gets tons of views. The twins then tell Kang that the camera is ready, and just then, the student council president also shows up. Kang takes his time to stare at the president, whose name is Kim Sejin. At the same time, Kim Sejin is busy observing just how handsome and tall Kang is. Kang is also impressed by Kim's appearance, as she appears to be someone with confidence. He wonders why someone as amazing as the student council president wasn't mentioned in the novel. Kim then walks up to Kang to compliment him on how handsome he is. Kim says the video will obviously get a positive review, which is why she can't wait to work with Kang. Kang is blown away by Kim's social skills, unlike what the twins told him. Momentarily, they shot the interview, and it was a success. The girls wish that they could get more minutes with Kang, but they know that they have no choice but to release him. Kang also says he is disappointed that the interview is over. However, he reveals that he plans on requesting overtime pay from the school. When the girls act surprised about this, Kang quickly changes it up, saying he is only joking. On the other hand, Min says she would definitely request overtime pay. Suddenly, Kim Sejin tells Kang that it would be disappointing for the viewers if the interview ended where they stopped. Kim Sejin then throws in something shocking. She asks Kang for a sparring match. The tech teacher tries to cut this off, reminding Kim Sejin that she made the request out of the blue. Even the twins admit that the request is too sudden. Kang cannot believe that they are about to wrap things up before Kim Sejin comes out with a sudden request. It starts to dawn on him that this might be the eccentric character that the twins were talking about. One of the twins tried to tell Kim that they didn't tell the teacher anything beforehand, but Kim argues that since the teacher said he is disappointed with the way it ended, she only wanted a way to show the viewers more. Kim apologizes for coming out suddenly, but reveals that she is someone who enjoys sparring a lot. Since Kang's subject is swordsmanship, Kim doesn't mind. Kang can sense that Kim Sejin is making the request out of genuine love for what she likes with no malicious intent. The twins are about to close everything up when Kang reveals that he is up for sparring. The twins remind him that there was no initial request, but Kang lets them know that it is all fine. However, he wants to know if there are swords that they can use. Kim Sejin quickly cuts in, saying she brought training steel swords that they can use. The twins are shocked to hear this, and they ask her when she got the swords. Kim Sejin mentions that she brought them just in case Kang says yes to her request. Kang knows deep down that he is still a student himself, even though he has the muscle memory to use a sword. While they are preparing for the sparring match, the tech teacher is ultimately furious that she will be later than she even expected. They head to the training ground, and while Kim gets herself ready for the fight, Kang admits that he is not nervous since he already knows that he is pretty capable after his fight with Jong. In addition to this, he has been training nonstop with Cho. He has received a whole load of beatings from the old man during his training sessions. At the same time, Kang is not ready to let his guard down since Kim Sejin is a third-year student council president, so he doesn't want to let his guard down. Kang is looking at Kim Sejin like she is at the level of a hunter. Kang then tells Kim Sejin that he will be giving her the first move. Kim Sejin happily accepts the offer and dashes toward Kang at great speed. Even Kang is impressed with Kim's speed because she is obviously faster than the first-year students, and she is also using a unique technique. Kang is surprised that the girl is not attacking with a middle or diagonal slash, but has opted to use a thrust. Kang concludes that Kim Sejin is confident in her skills. Kang easily dodges the attack, and he is even more surprised that Kim doesn't panic like every other student would. Instead, Kim tries an upward slash, but Kang dodges this too. Even after this, Kim continues swinging her sword to try to take down the teacher, but he dodges everything. Kim is forced to ask Kang how long he plans to keep dodging her strikes. Basically, Kang has learned a lot of dodging techniques during his gruesome training with the old man. The old man held a grudge because he threatened to take away his food, and he beat the crap out of him. Kang is able to dodge everything Kim is throwing at him thanks to this. Kang even has the time to lecture Kim, telling her that she is so focused on her attacks, which is why she is leaning forward too much. Kim then argues that she hasn't shown the teacher everything she has yet. She swings very hard at Kang, but he dodges it easily and appears behind her, telling her that she is wide open and would be easily taken out. Kang remembers how Cho was just beating him left and right like he owed him money. The more he remembers what he suffered at the hands of the old man, the more pissed he is. He thinks of taking away some of his ramen, but he quickly realizes that this will only make Cho even crazier. Kang then points out another error that the student council president is making. He tells her that she is going to get tired quickly by putting too much force into her hands and arms. He urges her to learn how to use her entire body to improve her attacks. The moment Kang says this, Kim changes her stance, shocking Kang. He can't believe that she quickly put what he just said into use by readjusting the grip on her sword. Kang is blown away, as he wonders if being special is what differentiates her from the other students. Kang then places his sword in his left hand and tells Kim Se-jin that he is about to get serious with her. Meanwhile, the tech teacher is still furious that she is running later than usual. Just as Kang is about to make his move, Kim stops him. Kang is surprised, and he asks her if something is wrong, but she says no. She asks Kang if he doesn't mind her using some mana. She promises not to use the mana on her weapon, but Kang is just impressed that Kim already knows how to use mana. Kim Se-jin reveals that from the end of the second year, they are allowed to join field training at the portal sites. Kim Se-jin mentions that she just started using mana. Kang is actually aware of what Kim just said. Before their graduation, the students visit low-level portals. There is usually a teacher with them or sometimes a hunter sent by the government. Kang is very impressed that the girl can use mana even if it is a little. Kang figures out that the girl probably noticed the difference in speed as he was about to move, which is why she requested to use mana. This further creates a level of curiosity in Kang as he wants to know how skilled Kim is. Kang then tells Kim that she is free to use the mana. Kim is glad that she is finally getting to use mana because she wasn't able to when she trained with Jung. Kim sees the sparring session as her best opportunity to feel the mana and handle it. Kim dashes toward Kang at a speed greater than before. Kang manages to block her attack, but he realizes that his hand has gone numb from blocking the attack without using any internal energy. Kang is even more surprised that Kim didn't put mana into her weapon, but only used it to boost her physical strength. Kang is forced to move from where he is, and he is pretty impressed that Kim got really strong from just basic training. Apparently, when fighting monsters, the body naturally absorbs mana. However, the mana doesn't keep growing because everyone has a limit at which their mana stops accumulating due to their level of talent. Kang learned from Cho that mana is just raw, unrefined internal energy, and because of this, Kang had already converted all the mana he met in his body into internal energy. He basically cannot use mana anymore, but what he has is more efficient. Since he is a teacher and he has a pride to uphold, Kang decides that he is not going to use mana against Kim. Kang continues dodging her attacks until he finally figures out her rhythm. Basically, hunter-style swordsmanship is just too direct. This is basically because they are mostly fighting monsters that have no intelligence, which is why low-ranked hunters get wiped out by monsters that use their brains. Just as he expected, Kim Se-jin starts to slow down as she gets tired with every strike. Kang can now figure out her next move, which is a diagonal slash. However, Kim changes things up at the last minute by trying to counter with a reverse grip coupled with a thrust. Kang commends her for the impromptu technique, but he easily dodges and trips her. He tells her that she was already too close for her to effectively land the thrust. Kim loses her balance and crashes to the ground with no way to pull herself back up. This shocks the twins and the teacher. Kim's knee turns bright red from hitting it on the ground, and Kang holds his sword to her neck to officially concede defeat. Kang notices that Kim Se-jin is pretty sad about losing the match, which shows how competitive she is. Kang then tells her that she actually fought well during the match, which makes her worthy of being the student council president. Kang then tells her that the only downside to her skills is that her technique is repetitive. Kang admits that by using her mana, she was able to boost her strength, but he urges her not to rely on this alone. He tells her to mix up her sword techniques too. Kang then helps her up, and Kim thanks him for the help and advice. One of the twins notices that the tech teacher is really pissed, and when she asks him what the problem is, she reveals that the video is definitely going to blow up. 1 week after the video was uploaded, Kang's life got even more stressful. Kang finds himself signing autographs for his students. Kang tries telling them that he doesn't have a signature, but they urge him to scribble whatever he can on the note given to him. Apparently, the video that was uploaded got totally viral. Kang is forced to sign a bunch of autographs before finally getting his students to start learning for the day. Kang is pissed that the video might have gone viral, but he is not getting anything in return for it. The video had made the school channel rack up over 250,000 subscribers, and the video also has over 1 million views. It finally dawns on Kang that the internet is a wild place. All those who are watching the video or who have watched it enjoy every bit of it. The fight between Kang and Kim made some feel like it was a fight between two world-class hunters. They are blown away by the fact that Kang didn't use mana during the fight, and he was able to stand toe-to-toe with Kim. Apparently, Kim Se-jin is a big deal since she is a two-time martial arts champion. People were already speculating that she would be given an A rank once she graduates. On the other hand, Kang is like a ghost whom no one has heard of before. This immediately created tension and curiosity among the viewers. Different questions surfaced about who he is or where he came from. Kang is shocked when he sees how crazy the internet is going because of him. Since Kim Se-jin is a big deal, Kang wonders why he never saw her name in the novel. Even after the protagonist left the hunter school, there was no mention of Kim Se-jin anywhere. Kang is lost in his thoughts when Park shows up to tease him. He calls him a YouTube star and urges him to ditch his shy face because he is already famous. Park gives him a drink, and Kang admits that he initially liked the whole thing, but he now considers it a bit too much. Park, on the other hand, believes that Kang is too much of a low-key person, and he urges him to use his fame to his advantage. Kang, on the other hand, is not interested in this because he just wants to live a quiet life. Just then, Park informs Kang that the vice principal is asking after Kang. Kang is shocked to hear this and demands to know why the vice principal wants to see him. But Park says he has no idea. He assumes that the vice principal might be thinking of giving him a bonus. Kang gets excited to see the man the moment he hears that there is a possibility of him receiving a bonus. He stands up from his seat, and Park lets him know that he would be treating them to a meal if it turns out that he is given a bonus. On his way to the office, Kang wonders why he is being called to the vice principal's office in private. He considers it something straight out of the unusual since meetings like this happen in public. The main reason why he is worried about being summoned by the vice principal is the fact that he is one of the strongest in the first hunter school. Basically, he is one of the 10 S-rank hunters in the country, and his name is Kim Man-dong. Kang enters the office with Kim Man-dong sitting like a mafia boss as he welcomes him into the room. Kang is totally blown away by the man's overwhelming presence, and he bows his head to greet him. Kim asks Kang if he would like tea, but he says no, telling the vice principal that he needs to head to class very soon. The vice principal acknowledges this and says he will make the meeting short. He points to a sack and tells Kang that everything inside the sack is for him. Kang is shocked when he looks into the sack to see a bulk load of letters. Kang chuckles nervously, asking Kim if the letters are from his fans. Kim decides not to spoil it for him and urges him to open one of the letters to see what it is all about. Apparently, a lot of people were impressed by the duel he had against Kim Se-jin. This includes other schools and even full-time hunters from top guilds. The video was made to promote the school, but Kang has somehow helped make it a big success. Kang opens one of the letters, and it turns out to be a duel challenge letter from the Hwarang Guild. They inform Kang that they are impressed by his performance in the duel against the president and would like him to choose a place and time for a duel. It is basically a letter of respect and honor, but with a challenge attached to it. The vice principal lets him know that the guilds would rather duel him than pay huge money for commercial ads. Kang is blown away by everything in front of him, as he didn't expect any of it. The vice principal reveals that there are 932 letters in the sack, and everything is basically a challenge letter. Kang is shocked by the challenge letters, and he asks Kim if he did anything wrong. Kim lets him know that he didn't do anything, but everyone is just trying to ride his wave. He says the fact that Kang also went to a regular school also makes it more interesting. Kang is shocked, and he wonders how they learned he is from a regular school. The vice principal tells him that most of the people in the school don't like him, and one of them most likely leaked his background information. However, the big issue facing Kim is that the comment section of the video is growing intolerable. Apparently, people are accusing the student council president of going easy on Kang. Because of this, they have been dragging her left and right. When Kang hears this, he gets an idea of what Kim Se-jin is going through because he was always getting dragged in his past life for producing trash web novels. Kang starts blaming himself for what happened because none of it would have happened if he had left the interview pretty simple. The vice principal then reveals that the channel is getting shut down because it was meant for good, but it is already projecting more harm than good. Kim then asks Kang what he plans to do about the issue, and Kang reveals that he aims to clear up people's doubts. The vice principal asks him how he plans to do this, and he reveals his plan to pick a challenge letter from one of the trolls. He wants to pick the most popular one out of them and beat the said challenger to a pulp. Kim is surprised that Kang is pretty confident about the whole thing, and he reminds him that some of the challengers are A-rank hunters. Instead of backing down, Kang says he would relish the opportunity to take on A-rank hunters alone. The vice principal easily figures out that Kang wants to beat the strong dudes so that the rest of them can back off. Kang confirms what the vice principal is saying and says he is choosing to do this since he can't take on every challenger. The vice principal is pleased with this plan, but then he asks Kang if he would like to have a match with him. Kang hears this, and fear grips him because he believes that the old man must have gone insane. He is forced to ask again to confirm, just in case he was going deaf the first time. However, Kim reiterates what he said. Kang cannot believe that Kim, who is an S-rank hunter, is trying to have a match with him, a B-rank hunter. Sweat runs down his face with this realization, and he concludes that the vice principal has gone insane. The vice principal reveals that he was there when Kang fought Zhang, and he believed that he was actually going to lose. However, after the fight, the vice principal could see that Kang was even holding back. Because Kang was talking so confidently, Kim believes that he could also take on S-rank hunters. Kang cannot imagine that the vice principal is seriously comparing A ranks to S ranks. Kang is well aware that the vice principal knows just how crazy S ranks are, but he is still making such a proposition. There is no doubt that A ranks are pretty strong, but Kang doesn't even count Zhang as an A rank since he hasn't taken the rank-up examination. Kang admits that he has grown stronger after his fight with Zhang, and this is all thanks to the training he is receiving from his master. Because of these trainings, Kang can boldly say he will handle A ranks. S ranks, on the other hand, are a different story. There are only 10 of them in Korea, and just about 100 in the entire world. S-rank mages are said to be strategic weapons, and the physical ones are considered to be one-man armies. Kim Man-dong is one of the top S-ranks, and he is no joke. Apparently, there was a scene in the novel when the protagonist Seong tried challenging Kim Man-dong because he thought he had grown powerful, only for the vice principal to utterly trash him. Kang's case is different, since he is trained directly under Cho instead of just popping mana pills like they are biscuits. He is relieved to have heard his master tell him that he is much better than a person who is just swallowing mana pills every day. However, even with all of this, Kang knows that there is no way he has a chance against an S-rank hunter. Kang is totally lost in his thoughts until Kim calls him out of it. Kim tries to persuade Kang, telling him that a sparring session with him will definitely clear the air rather than stressing himself out to fight A ranks. Kim adds that he is going to make it official, and this would probably stop all the challenge requests that are flooding in. However, he lets him know that if he fumbles the match, he won't be able to back him up. In addition, Kim is not expecting Kang to win. He is planning to set the rules to just one hit. Basically, Kang gets to win if he manages to land a hit on Kim Man-dong. Even with this, Kang is not confident that he has what it takes to land a hit on Kim Man-dong because his body basically tanks Aura Blade like it is nothing. Kim then decides to tease Kang, telling him that he is pretty timid. Kim takes it a step further by telling Kang that he would exempt him from the new teacher training that is going to be held during the break if he manages to land a hit on him. Basically, the teacher training is a period where the teachers bond with each other, but for someone like Kang, who came from a regular school, it is going to be hell for him. Kim then adds that he will still be getting paid during the break, and Kang is absolutely blown away when he hears this. He can't believe that he is basically getting 3 weeks of paid vacation if he manages to land a hit. Kang then asks Kim if he can actually pull him out of the training since it is being run by the Hunter Management Agency. Kim then reveals that there is a special exemption program for each semester where 2 outstanding teachers are selected. These outstanding teachers are then allowed to leave the training. Kim asks Kang if he is interested, but Kang is already dreaming of it. However, he tells him to avoid any political dates. Since the following week is the presidential election, Kim Man-dong wants them to plan the match for a month from now, which is the day before the school break. Kim urges Kang not to run away before the day of the fight. Once they have agreed on the date, Kang finally leaves. Kang steps out of the office with the realization that he has a month to figure out a way to land a hit on the vice principal. He knows that the offer is appealing, but at the same time, it is not less than a death wish. He compares the vice principal to someone who is at a transcendent level, given that it was a Muram novel. Kim is no less than a walking fortress, while Kang has recently just clawed his way to the peak level. Due to the differences in their ability, Kang considers landing a hit on Kim an impossible feat. Kang's whole dream is to live in peace, but he knows that he can't stay and let his student be dragged. Just then, he gets the notification, telling him that he has just unlocked a side story called the Vice Principal Slayer. The moment he sees this, Kang immediately comes to the realization that it might actually be possible for him to land the required hit. However, there is only one person who can teach him how to, and it is none other than Cho. Kang immediately rushes over to tell the old man about it, but he is shocked when the old man lets him know that it is pretty impossible. Kang tries to convince the old man, but he insists that some things are left untouched. He tells Kang that he needs to be able to form an aura blade to be able to leave a scratch on someone who has reached the transcendent level. And by what he has told him, Kim Man-dong has reached that stage. The old man then mentions that Kang will be lucky to land just one hit, and this is if he manages to pull out every trick in the book. The moment he mentions the word tricks, Kang becomes interested and he asks for more clarification. The old man tells him that he meant using ginseng, elixirs, and the like. The old man lets him know that he might be lucky to use the aura blade if he manages to consume 3 100-year-old ginseng roots. Kang immediately tells his master that he is interested in this, but he gets punched in the head again. Cho lets him know that he might be able to land just one hit, but it won't be more than one hit. Kang smiles, telling the old man that the one hit is all he needs. Kang turns around to leave and the old man asks him where he is going. Kang reveals that he is leaving to find the ginseng roots that he talked about. The roots might be difficult to find, but Kang knows that money makes everything possible. And since the following week is the presidential election, Kang has something planned to get the ginseng root that he wants. Meanwhile, Asura is in her house, wondering why Kang has not reached out to her after he left Antas when his call came in. Sora excitedly picks up the call and she expects to be asked out to dinner or something, but Kang hits her with something else. He asks her if she has 100 million won that she can borrow from him, and the moment Sora hears this, she ends the call. She doesn't stop there, but she goes further to turn off her phone too. Kang knows that he won't be able to get his hands on 10,000-year-old ginsengs, but he can still get other ginsengs just like Xiong did. The only problem he has is that the price of the ginseng is pretty crazy. Apparently, the ginsengs that are not even up to 100 years old can go as high as tens of millions, while the ones that are over 100 years old can easily exceed 100 million won. Because Xiong was a rich and spoiled brat, he was able to buy up these 100-year-old ginsengs and just consume them like he was eating rice. Even after eating these ginsengs, he still got beaten up by the vice principal. Cho told Kang that Xiong lost to the vice principal because he was only eating the ginseng without properly absorbing the energy. Kang, on the other hand, is confident that his master will help him absorb all the energy inside the ginseng if he manages to consume even one. However, he can't just spend his entire net worth on buying the ginseng. While he was trying to figure out a way out of the problem, he remembered what the vice principal told him about the presidential election. It is apparent that the stocks will be affected by the elections. Kang has been so busy with everything else that he totally forgot about stocks. Since he has been using his knowledge of the novel to his advantage, he has totally forgotten about stocks. Kang decides to ride on this, and he heads to the bank to take a loan. In his past life, he wasn't able to get loans from a bank because he was nothing but a third-rate writer. However, things are pretty different now that he is a teacher at a hunter school. He can easily use his influence to get loans from banks. Since he already knows who is going to win between the two contenders for the presidential seat, he stakes all the loans he borrowed on the potential winner. A few days later, a pizza delivery guy arrived at the door of his classroom carrying 42 boxes of pizza. The pizza dude tells Kang that they are grateful for his patronage, and because of this, all the drinks attached to pizzas are free. His students are shocked when they see a bulk load of pizza at the entrance. They are all confused until Kang tells them to all take a box of pizza for themselves. Apparently, Kang's stake came in big time, and his net worth is now over 1 billion won. The students celebrate the free pizza while Kang smiles at the front of the class. Kang's stake had yielded 500%. Kang is thankful that his knowledge of the story finally paid off. Kang is happy to see his students smiling while consuming the pizzas, and he urges them not to choke on them. He is even willing to buy them digestive medicines just in case. The students ask him what the occasion is all about, and he reveals that he had some luck with stocks. He then adds that there is one more news he wants to share with them. Kang then tells his students that he will be having a sparring match with the vice principal on the day before the closing ceremony. The moment the students hear this, they almost choke on the pizza. The students are ultimately worried that Kang is going to get himself killed because the vice principal is considered to be a god. Kang admits that he is no match for the vice principal, which is why he is getting a handicap. Kang tells the students that the vice principal has promised to give him the win if he manages to land a hit. Even after saying this, the students still don't think Kang has a chance since the vice principal is built like a freaking tank. They just assume that their teacher is going to die. Kang urges his students to enjoy the pizza because it might be the last he will buy for them. Kang knows that the vice principal might start announcing the news of the sparring match since the elections are over. Kang is basically spreading the news to the kids to get a head start and make sure that the vice principal doesn't change his mind about the one-hit-to-win rule. Since he has managed to get everything right so far, Kang figures out that the next thing on his plate is training. Momentarily, Kang makes his way to the snowy plains. He tells his master that he has prepared everything that he requested to help him. And this is basically 3 boxes of perilla seed ramen, 5 boxes of onias, 2 boxes of chocolate bars, and 4 boxes of cola. In addition to this, he even bought all the instant foods from the stores. Cho is happy to see that Kang has done everything to motivate him. He then asks him if he has also prepared the roots, and he says yes. Kang has managed to get his hands on 3 100-year-old ginseng roots, and he carefully placed them in a box. After purchasing the roots, Kang still has over 1 billion won left in his bank account. Cho is impressed that Kang is able to get his hands on the ginseng. Cho reveals that he once ate a 300-year-old ginseng when he was younger, and seeing the 3 ginsengs that Kang brought, he can clearly say that what he ate is far better. However, Cho confirms the authenticity of the roots, and Kang heaves a sigh of relief. Cho then tells Kang to consume the ginseng so he can circulate his energy. He assures Kang that he will support him from behind. Kang does as told, and he eats the roots before sitting down to meditate. Cho then sits behind him, placing his palms on his back to help circulate his energy too. Kang can feel the hotness moving through his body, and he finally realizes why one root costs 100 million won. Cho tells Kang to calmly accept all the energy that he is injecting into his body. Cho lets him know that it won't be difficult since they have both learned the same technique. Kang doesn't believe his ears when the old man says this because he can clearly see himself submerged in a giant river of energy. Cho then asks Kang something peculiar. Cho knows that the ginseng that Kang brought is quite genuine, which makes it pretty expensive. Since Kang was able to get his hands on these expensive materials, Cho believes that he must be a bit wealthy. Kang admits that he was able to get his hands on a good amount of fortune. Since this is the case, Cho asks Kang why he doesn't just quit his job as a teacher and also forget the sparring match, so he can just live a peaceful life. Cho wants to know why Kang is stressing himself when it is easy for him to look the other way. Kang then reveals that he is trying to help out a friend who has found herself entangled with bad people. In addition, he needs to get stronger to restore the student council president's reputation, which is currently being dragged through the mud, which happened because of him. Kang admits that he would definitely have an easy life if he just let everything be the way it is, but he doesn't want a situation where he won't be able to live by himself. Cho is impressed when he hears this, and at the same time, he is proud that his guess about Kang is correct. Kang is confused when he hears his master say this, and he asks him what he meant by it. Cho just replies that he doesn't need to know it. Moments later, they reach the end of the energy absorption session, and Cho says he would have ended it there, but he decides to give Kang a gift. He lets Kang know that what he is about to do to him might be a little painful, and he urges him to endure it. Kang becomes worried when his master says he has to endure what he is about to do. He is still asking what it is when he gets hit with a powerful energy surge coming from his master's palms. Kang screams in horror as it feels like he has been struck by lightning. The pain is so much that he starts wondering if he somehow offended the old man. He is forced to ask the old man what it is that he is doing to him. The old man tells him to shut his mouth and just focus on what he is doing. He urges him to endure the pain just like he had earlier told him to. Kang is being struck with so much pain that he can't even open his mouth to tell the old man to stop whatever it is that he is doing to him. He can feel Cho's energy entering his body, but it is moving through a different meridian pathway, not the original one. Kang can sense a wall inside him, and Cho is trying to break it down. Kang wonders why Cho is trying to create another pathway, which is totally different from the ones in his body. Cho continues doing this until Kang can hear something crack inside him. Cho scolds Kang, telling him that his body is filled with so much bad energy. On the other hand, he is glad that Kang managed to endure the pain for him to finally break through. Kang, on the other hand, is just glad that it is over, since he doesn't ever want to experience the level of pain he just did again. Kang asks Cho if it is finally over, but Cho suddenly says he has opened a path in a place he doesn't want to. Before Kang knows it, Cho places his palms on his back again and pumps him with internal energy. Kang screams out loudly before finally passing out. When he wakes up, he also screams out in pain, telling the old man that he is going to sue him. While Kang was knocked out, Cho was busy eating ramen. Kang screams at the old man, asking him what he did to his body. He demands an explanation since he never got one aside from the fact that the old man told him to endure the pain. The old man screams back at Kang, calling him an ungrateful fool for not appreciating what he did for him. The old man reveals that he also went through hell to help him out, but he woke up to start saying trash. Cho tries to hit Kang, but he surprisingly dodges the hit. It finally dawns on Kang that he shouldn't have been able to dodge it, but he did. Cho is proud that his efforts were not in vain. Kang is curious about what he can do, and he asks his master to hit him one more time. Cho cannot believe that Kang is seriously trying to climb up a stage that he hasn't reached just because he consumed some wild roots. Cho decides to show him that he is still a baby by kicking him around, giving him no chance whatsoever to dodge the hits. When Cho finally calms down to eat his ramen again, Kang asks him what he did to help him. The old man reveals that there was a bit of medicinal effect left, and he didn't want it to go to waste, which is why he added a bit of his internal energy to open up his dew meridians. Kang is shocked to hear this since he has heard of Ren and dew meridians before. Apparently he could only circulate his energy through one path before his master helped him out, but after the master's help, he could circulate it through his entire body. Kang is happy to have opened the meridians, but in the novels he has read in the past, those who open them become extremely powerful. This pushes Kang to ask Cho if he has reached the level of a transcendent being. Cho laughs his heart out when he hears this. He tells Kang that he is barely just at the first-rate level of martial arts, but he is trying to jump over the peak level and move straight into the transcendental level. Kang argues that he went through something painful, but this earns him a punch to the head again. The old man tells him that he was the one who suffered, not him. The old man berates Kang for trying to skip levels just because he ate some roots. Kang then argues that the old man was the one who told him that the effects were great. Cho admits that the medicinal effects were good, which is why he was able to barely open the pathways that he did. However, if he plans to jump 2 levels ahead, he will need at least a 10,000-year-old snow ginseng or the heart of an imugi. Kang is blown away when he hears this, since the things the old man mentioned are impossible to find. Cho then tells Kang that he should be happy with himself because he is able to reach peak level. Kang then asks the old man if he now has what it takes to use Aura Blade, and the man replies that it depends on him. The old man asks him if the condition to win the duel is just to land a hit, and Kang says yes. He is determined to do this, which is why he procured the roots. However, Cho thinks Kang should be able to easily do that since he is the only martial artist left in the world. Kang urges the man not to use the said standard because S-rank hunters are not to be messed with. Cho then talks about how the elders in his days were all on a transcendent level, which makes it a high feat to acquire. Kang cuts his master off from his boring talks and suggests that they get down to training because all he needs is one hit. However, Cho scolds him for accepting the bare minimum. Cho lets him know that it is a disrespect for him to have accepted the deal to land just a hit, and he lets Kang know that he would have been pissed if he were in his shoes. Kang finally gets to think about it, and it starts to piss him off. He realizes that the offer was made by the vice principal, and he left himself at the standard set by the vice principal for him. Kang is finally fired up, and he tells the old man that he aims to hit the vice principal at least 5 times for looking down on him. Even with the 5 times, Cho is still not impressed. He gives Kang a 50% pass mark out of 100. Cho then tells Kang to follow him because he plans to make him reach the perfect score. Kang asks the old man why he didn't tell him about it sooner, and he says he didn't because it wasn't his martial arts. Kang is confused by this, and the old man explains that he met a lot of people in his younger days while wandering the plains. Among the people that he met, there were only 2 that he could call his close friends. He lets Kang know that the technique he is about to show him was used by one of them. Kang is surprised to hear this, and he asks Cho if friends have started sharing martial arts with each other. Cho debunks this and says there is no way to learn an art from a martial artist unless you are the master's disciple. Cho was only able to learn the technique because he faced his said friend a bunch of times. Cho reveals that it was a sin in the Muram to steal each other's martial arts, but since Kang is the only martial artist in the world, the rules don't apply anymore. Kang then asks Cho if the said friend was as strong as him. The old man reveals that he is not as strong as him, but he is basically a decent fellow. Cho mentions that his friend was able to cause him some worries with his techniques when he was still at the peak level, even though he was a level above him. Kang hears this and gets even more excited. Cho is also willing to teach him because he wants Kang to shatter the vice principal's pride. A week later, Seora calls a meeting with Kang. She informs Kang about the drug situation in the organization. Apparently, some of the drug warehouses have been raided in China and Japan. After telling Kang about the drug situation, she asks him if it is true that he wants to have a sparring match with the vice principal. Kang is surprised that the rumor has spread among the teachers too. He assumes that it is because of the pizza effect, but Seora lets him know that he is wrong. It turns out that the vice principal himself posted the information on the school group chat. Apparently, he lets the teachers know that the condition to be selected as the outstanding teacher for the semester will be a sparring match against him. He urges whoever is interested to file an application, but he lets them know Kang is already an applicant. Kang is shocked when he sees the information, and he assumes that the old man did this because he was worried that he might later turn down the sparring match. Seora asks him why he would do such a thing when the atmosphere in the school is already bad as it is. Kang is confused by what Seora is saying, and Seora mentions that one of the kids in her class came to her with a banged-up face. However, the kid refused to rat out who hit him. Kang then asks Seora if he was able to later find out who beat the kid up, and she says yes. She reveals that it is the worst bully in the middle school division, Lee Ji-seong. The moment she says the name, Kang chokes on his drink and spills it all on Seora. Kang cannot believe that he just heard the protagonist's name out of nowhere. Seora is fully bathed in coffee, and she is forced to ask Kang if he has had an encounter with Seong, which is why he reacted the way he just did. Kang lies, telling Seora that he merely choked on his drink. Kang then asks Seora what happened to Seong. Seora reveals that Seong's father is the CEO of Hwaseon Electronics, and his grandfather is the chairman of Hwaseon Group. Seora believes that his family pulled some strings to make everything disappear because the dude who was beaten up ended up looking like a fool. Seora is tired of the way Seong behaves in class, and she reveals that she definitely would do something about Seong if she could. Kang understands her pain because Seong, who ended up becoming the hero, is currently in his delinquent era. Kang tries to defuse the situation and he urges Seora to calm down, telling her that Seong would probably come back to his senses later in the future. However, Seora doesn't believe that people change. Kang maintains the stance that people change, and he urges Seora to be nice to Seong because she never knows what the future holds for him. Seora laughs when she hears this, and she tells Kang that he will soon understand the pain that she's going through when the dude graduates and joins the high school division to finally end up in Kang's class. Kang doesn't think he will be taking in any more students since he is just a side character in the story, but he is relieved to have heard Seong's name again because it makes the story feel alive. Seora mentions that she can't wait for the semester to be over so she can finally stop seeing Seong's face. Seora then asks Kang if he has any plans for the upcoming break. Kang reveals that there is an upcoming teacher's training, but he is skeptical about going. Seora is also worried about him, but Kang reveals that he might be lucky not to go if he manages to become an outstanding teacher. The moment Seora hears this, she believes that Kang has lost his mind because Kang is banking on the duel to become the outstanding teacher. Seora reminds Kang that Kim is one of the top 10 hunters in Korea, and there is no chance that he is going to land a hit on him. Kang is hurt by Seora's words, and Seora lets him know that she is just pointing out the real situation of things for him. Kang takes a sip out of his drink while telling Seora to stop jinxing the match that has not even happened. Just then, Seora moves even closer to Kang to look into his eyes, and concludes that Kang is a changed person, because the old Kang would never have put himself in a dangerous position. It is not even up to 5 minutes. And Seora is already changing up her words, saying people really do change. Unknown to her, the Kang she now knows is different from the old Kang. Soon afterward, D-Day arrives. The arena is packed with spectators who are waiting to see Kang fail badly. They assume that Kang has grown arrogant because he managed to defeat Jong. They are all jealous of the fact that Kang didn't graduate from a hunter school, and he is striving to take the position of an outstanding teacher. Some of them believe that Kang has a trump card up his sleeve, but others believe that this won't matter against the vice principal. While his haters are busy whispering and saying trash behind him, Kang can hear all of them. Apparently, his senses have become sharper after his training with the old man. One of his students, Jinsu, who is always on his neck and disturbing him in class, helps Kang to massage his back. After a few minutes of massage, Kang tells him that it is enough, but Jinsu says that he can still help more. Kang easily figures out that Jinsu is only helping so he can sit close to the arena and get a better view of the fight. Kang knows that teachers are only supposed to be present since the information was posted on the teacher's platform, but apparently some of his haters leaked the time and place so that they can watch Kang fumble in front of the students and get mocked. Kang then asks Jinsu if the rumors about him are bad, and Jinsu says yes. He reveals that most of the teachers are with the mindset that Kang is trying so badly to win the Outstanding Teacher Award. However, his students know that this is all false because they know the type of person Kang is. Among the crowd, Kang still has some who love him and want him to win, and this includes Park and the tech teacher. His entire class is also there to support him, and Kang is pleased to have some support, even if it is just a little. Momentarily, the vice principal arrives in the arena. His aura alone announces his presence, and Kang cannot stand the man's annoying attitude. Kim then reveals that he wasn't expecting many people to show up, as if he wasn't the one who advertised for the whole town to be aware. Kim asks Kang if he is ready, and Kang tells the man that he has tried his best. Kang has a sword with him, and it is wrapped in a sheet. Kim advises Kang to go all out from the beginning to avoid humiliation. Kim is making it juicy by giving Kang the first move. Kang is glad that the man offered the first move because he was already expecting it. It is normal for higher ranks to give the first move to the lower ranks, but it is not a legal practice, which means Kim is not obligated to do it. However, he is glad that he did because he now has a chance to land the first blow. The referee enters the stage, telling the two that he is there to go over the rules again. The referee reminds Kim that all Kang needs to do to win the match is to land a hit. He then asks the two to confirm if they are both cool with the rules, and they both agree. Kang then urges the referee to step out of the ring because it might get a bit dangerous, but the referee takes this as an insult because he is an A-rank hunter. The vice principal then urges the referee to do as Kang suggested. The referee has no choice but to accept, and the moment he announces the start of the duel, he steps out of the ring. Apparently, the sword was given to Kang by Cho. It was a sword that Cho got from one of his said friends. He lets Kang know that it is a pretty decent sword. Kang figures out that the only chance he might have against Kim is the first move he gave him. Kang whips out the sword and starts imbuing it with mana. The twins are shocked to see Kang using an aura blade because aura swords are usually used by A ranks and above. Kang can sense that the students are impressed by what he just did, but the teachers are a different story. Even Kim is not impressed, and he asks Kang if the aura blade is all he has, but Kang says no. Kang expels more aura from his body that covers the entire area where he is standing. This shocks the teachers as Kang is basically tapping into a technique that is exclusive to S ranks. Even Kim is blown away, but he figures out that Kang has not fully mastered the aura blade because it is taking him some time to put it together. Kim tells Kang that he is free to attack, and Kang apologizes for keeping him waiting. Kang then raises his sword to gather more energy. It turns out that the technique he is using is the same one that Cho learned from his said friend. The technique is the Heaven Demon Sword Art. Kang's entire body is swirling with aura, leaving the spectators shocked. Before he unleashes his attack, he lets the vice principal know. The man braces up for Kang's attack, and when he unleashes, Kim starts getting pushed backward. Apparently, the technique was created by a legendary grand demon, the Heaven Demon, and this powerful dude is Cho's friend. Kang was shocked when he learned of this from his master. This is because he is pretty popular in martial arts novels, and anyone who reads them would know who the Heaven Demon is. He was the ruler of the Demon Sect, also known as the Heaven Demon Divine Sect. He was one of the terrifying powers that served as a bridge between justice and evil factions. When Kang wrote his novel in his past life, the Heaven Demon was a popular arc in it. However, nowadays the Heaven Demon goes into fantasy worlds to slay dragons. Sometimes, he reincarnates into a modern world to become a gang boss. Basically, those who haven't read the novels have at least heard the titles. Cho admits that the Heaven Demon was quite popular in the martial world, but he never defeated him, even if it was once. Kang then asked his master who the second friend was, since he said he had two. Cho mentions that his other friend was a dude named Sambong, whose last name was Zhang. He narrates that he was always grumbling about Taiji and other unnecessary stuff. He is basically a Taoist, but Cho teases him, calling him a horseface, who only wanted to drink to death. Apparently, he started a sect too, and when Kang heard this, he froze in awe. Zhang Sambong was known as the founder of the Wudang sect, and he was also a grandmaster. By pouring aura into a blade, it produces a destructive technique. Kang then uses the Meteor Annihilation Demon Steel technique with the previous one he already did. Everyone is shocked to see this, and the teachers who are in charge of creating a barrier around the arena have their hands full as they were not expecting such an output of power from Kang. They can't believe that 2 layers out of the 3 barriers have been broken already. The teachers finally realize that they have been underestimating Kang. Even the referee realized that he would have been sent to the afterlife if he had stayed in the arena. They all come to the conclusion that his rank assessment is wrong, since there is no way a B-rank hunter will do what he just did. After Kang is done with his attack, he starts breathing heavily like a horse as he realizes that he has used up all of his aura. He knows that there is no chance on Earth that he would be able to use the technique twice. However, he left a destructive wave in his path. With the level of damage he did, he knows that monsters would have fallen to the ground like flies. However, he knows that the vice principal is a whole level of beast. As the dust slowly clears, the vice principal gradually emerges. His body is riddled with sword slashes, and Kang asks him to confirm if what he just did counts as a valid hit. The vice principal finds himself in a very delicate situation since he promised Kang just 1 hit, and he seems to have landed a hit. The vice principal is blown away because his body is bleeding, which has not happened in years. The vice principal admits that Kang is stronger than he gave him credit for because he never imagined that he could use the sword the way he did. Kang is pleased to see that no one knows about the technique since martial arts no longer exist. Kim then suggests that they engage in a proper match since the 1 hit that he gave him is over. Kang immediately protests against this, reminding Kim that he promised 1 hit, and he just did that. The vice principal starts to argue, and Kang reminds him again that he agreed to the terms himself. Kang knows that he doesn't have the strength to stay in the fight. With the 1 attack that he unleashed, he was able to create at least 10 holes in Kim's body, which is what he was aiming for. Kim admits that he promised him he would win if he lands a hit on him, but he lets Kang know that he hasn't done anything yet. Kang then argues with the man, reminding him that he willingly gave him the first move because he never asked for it. Kim then decides to play the pride card, reminding Kang that there are students watching the fight, and it wouldn't be nice for him to just back off while the kids are already cheering for him. Kang sighs in frustration since he knows that he is no match for Kim. But with what he has shown, he believes that no one would come to call him a fraud again. Since the vice principal has admitted that it was a valid hit, Kang urges them to wrap the fight up. Just then, the vice principal decides to use the loophole in the rules because he will be the one to say if it is a valid hit or not. Kim lets Kang know that he has a public image to uphold even though he acknowledges his strength. He tells Kang that the duel might be over, but he wants to have a proper match to enjoy themselves. Just then, Kim unleashes a golden aura from his body, and all injuries on his body immediately heal. Kang is shocked to see this, and it turns out that the vice principal used the super regeneration technique, which is considered an overpowered skill. Kang cannot believe that Kim Mandong is about to use his S-rank powers to trash him. Kang can sense that the people are not reacting well to what is happening, and he asks Kim if he would still like to keep going. Kim Mandong says he doesn't care because what he cares about is Kang's strength. Kang realizes that he has no choice but to accept because the challengers might just take him as a coward if he keeps refusing. Kang can feel his legs and arms shaking, but thanks to the pure energy running through his system, he starts recovering. However, he knows that he might not have the strength to use the aura blade again. Kang then puts up his sword to tell the vice principal that he is up for the fight. Kim takes a step forward and destroys the arena. Kang's mouth opens in shock and fear when he sees this. Kim suddenly disappears, and before Kang knows it, he has appeared behind him. The next thing Kang knows is a powerful punch hitting him in the face, causing him to pass out. And when he wakes up, he finds himself in the nurse's office. Kang is thankful that he didn't even die because he already thought that he had gone to the afterlife. He finally recounts what went down against the vice principal. He remembers the vice principal appearing from his blind spot, and when the punch was coming toward him, he blocked with his left arm. However, this was still enough to send a terrifying wave of pain into his body, even though he infused his left arm with internal energy. Kang reacted to this and swung his sword toward the vice principal, and he managed to slash Kim's left arm. Even though it was very little, Kang could see that he had cut the man before he was knocked unconscious. Kang smiles like a villain because he was able to land a hit, and he knows that Kim will have nothing to argue about. Kang sees himself getting the training exemption already because he worked hard for it. Just then, the nurse walked into the room, telling Kang that he had been out for over 4 hours. With a bright smile, the nurse, Kim Seonhwa, lets Kang know that she is glad that he is finally awake. Kang is surprised to see the school nurse since she never appeared in the story. Kang thanks the nurse for her help and apologizes for stopping her from going home early. Kang tried moving his arm, but realized that it was moving like a vegetable. Seonhwa lets him know that the bones in his arm were totally shattered. However, she has healed it with magic, but it will take another 2 hours before he can start feeling his arm again. This is the first time Kang will be witnessing the healing ability that he has always read about in books. He thought it was a broken ability, but as he saw, he realized that it had its own downsides. Seonhwa mentions that she was asked by the vice principal to specifically look over Kang, and since she is staying in the dormitory, she sees nothing wrong with it. Kang smiles when he hears this, and he tells the lady that he is feeling better and she can return to the dorms. Kang is surprised when Seonhwa tells him that she is not interested in going back to the dorms. She confesses that her father told her that she could leave when the curfew hit, but she intentionally waited because she was interested in Kang. Kang smiles when he hears this, but suddenly it dawns on him that Seonhwa said something crazy when she was explaining herself. He calls Seonhwa's attention back to what she said about Kim being her father. Seonhwa realizes that she has messed up already, and she urges Kang to keep it a secret because no one in the school is aware of it. Kang almost loses his mind when he realizes that his suspicion was correct. Seonhwa reveals that she has been interested in Kang before the match, but she is blown away by the way Kang handled the match against her father. Kang, on the other hand, believes that he lost since he passed out, and Seonhwa lets him know that this was the official ruling. However, Seonhwa thinks Kang is incredible because his first attack was something else, and she is pretty sure that most people think the same too. Kang is surprised to hear all of these from Seonhwa, and he realizes that she is a more diligent lady than he initially thought. Kang sees her as the complete opposite of who her father is. Seonhwa then brings out a bag of letters that were left for Kang while he was out cold. Kang opens the letters and realizes that they are all praising him. Kang is proud to read the letters, especially the one from Kim Sejin, because he finally cleared her reputation. Seonhwa realizes that Kang is pleased, and she points out the fact that the duel is not a loss for him. Kang admits to this but says he would have loved it if he had been given the training exemption. Seonhwa is confused when she hears this, and Kang lets her know that he had a deal with the vice principal. Seonhwa chuckles and asks why Kang is not interested in going. Kang reveals that he is scared that he would be treated harshly since he is not from a hunter school. Seonhwa then tells him that he is not disliked by all the teachers in the school. She urges him to wait till the next semester and he won't find anyone hating on him again just because he didn't graduate from a hunter school. Kang smiles while commending Seonhwa for being a good counselor. The two then agree to be friends, and in no more than a day, Kang recovers. The following day, he attended the end-of-semester ceremony where Kim kept his promise and announced that he was the outstanding teacher. One of the teachers protested against this, telling the vice principal that Kang didn't win the match. Kim Man-dong was able to silence the teachers who disagreed with him by asking them to fight him in a duel. He reminds all of them that Kang was the only one who applied for the Outstanding Teacher Award, which is why he is getting it. After the ceremony, Kang notices a drastic change. Some of the teachers started acting nice to him, and they told him that they would be looking forward to working with him the following semester. When Kang returned to his class, his students informed him that they were going to the beach on Jeju Island for their break. They asked Kang if he would like to come with them, but Kang humbly rejects the proposal. Apparently, Kang has other plans for the vacation, and his plan involves Seonhwa. Apparently, Kang's bank account is slowly starting to dry up, which is why he decided to take on a side job that involves Seonhwa. It turns out that Kang has paid out loads of the money he got from the stock money. He has repaid his loan, paid his tax, and also invested some. Even though he has no money left, he doesn't care since he has used his money for a long-term investment program. He plans to earn money via the portals. While he was at the nurse's office the day before, he heard Seonhwa's vacation plans. She tells Kang that most of the teachers do side jobs in portals during break. They are doing this because the money earned from entering portals cannot be compared to their teaching salary. Kang didn't know that people earn a lot in portals since he was a porter when he was working with the hunters. Seonhwa was shocked when she heard this, since she never expected them to treat someone as strong as Kang like trash. She lets Kang know that he is a hot cake that she would have wanted at her party. This is when she finally reveals her plans to go on a portal tour during the break. Without hesitation, Kang had accepted the deal. Kang plans to make loads of money in the portal and buy his master all of the snacks that he wants. In addition to the money he is excited about, he also wants the experience of being inside a portal because he was only reading about them in novels. He starts wondering what his team members would be like, since the team composition says a lot about what will happen during the mission. Kang assumes that Seonhwa is a frontliner, and they are definitely going to need a tank in the team. Kang expects the tank to be a bald-headed, muscular dude with a mustache. When Kang finally gets introduced to the team, he is shocked when he realizes that the tank is a lady named Hong Iseol. Kang lets out his inner thoughts by initially calling Iseol bald before correcting himself. Seonhwa reveals that Hong Iseol is her friend, and she is also Kim Man-dong's #1 disciple. She assures Kang that Iseol is someone she has worked with for a long time, and she is pretty reliable. Iseol is surprised that Seonhwa is introducing her as her father's disciple when it's supposed to be a secret. Seonhwa then tells her friend that Kang is no stranger because he recently engaged in a sparring match against her father. This is when Iseol finally figures out that Kang is the dude who managed to land a hit on Kim Man-dong. Iseol suggests that they talk about the details of the mission on their way, but she is surprised that Kang only has his sword with him and no extra luggage. Kang assures Iseol that he doesn't need any luggage because the sword is all that he needs. Iseol looks at Kang like he is some sort of insane dude who has totally lost his mind because he has no armor or extra attachments, just a basic sword. Iseol walks up to Seonhwa to complain, but Seonhwa lets her friend know that Kang is fine the way he is. Even though they are whispering, Kang can clearly hear them. Kang is disappointed that he didn't meet a macho man, but someone who is even more dangerous. Kang knows that Iseol is currently an A-hunter, but she later becomes the high school division's hand-to-hand combat teacher. Because she is a powerhouse, she was able to easily handle Seong and deal him punishment the entire semester. However, Seong was later able to defeat her, and she fell for the dude. On their way to the destination, Iseol explains the schedule to them. She reveals that they are heading to a C-rank 4-person portal and a D-rank 4-person portal. Apparently, they can enter into a B-rank 4-person portal since Iseol is A-rank and the other two are B-rank, but Iseol claims that she is trying to prioritize safety. Basically, portals are divided into 5 tiers, with S-rank the highest while D-rank is the lowest. Kang read that the profit margin between the single ranks is quite enormous. Kang finally speaks up, telling Iseol that he thought they were going to a B-rank portal. Iseol disagrees with him, telling him that the portals are called 4-person portals for a reason. Iseol insists that they are going to a C-rank or D-rank portal, but they can go to a B-rank portal if a 3-person portal opens up. Kang reveals his disappointment, saying it would be hard for him to make the profit he was looking for. Deep down, Iseol is already pissed that Kang is arrogant. She believes that Kim Man-dong went easy on him during the match. She doesn't like the fact that Kang is already talking about profits in a B-rank portal when he doesn't even have the proper gear. She decides that she has to teach Kang a lesson so he can know not to joke with his safety. Iseol then tells Kang that she will allow them to go to a B-rank portal if he can clear out a D-rank 4-person portal by himself. In addition, she will also leave all the profit to him. The moment Kang hears this, he jumps at the offer. This further disgusts Iseol, who wasn't expecting him to take the deal. Iseol wants to teach Kang a lesson that even though the portals are called D-ranks, they are still quite dangerous. They soon arrive at the D-rank portal, and Iseol shows her ID to the soldiers. The soldiers confirm her identity and tell her that she is free to enter whenever she wants to. Iseol then tells the soldiers that Kang will be the first to enter, while they join him later. Kang steps out of the vehicle to stare at the said D-rank portal. Iseol lets him know that he has 1 hour to clear the portal, and if he can't by then, she and Seonhwa will have to come in. Kang is excited to enter the portal since he considers it a good opportunity for him to test out his combat ability against the monsters. To him, he thinks Iseol wants the best for him, but he doesn't know that she secretly disgusts him. Seonhwa is worried about Kang, and she asks him if he will be fine going inside alone, and he assures her that he will be good. Kang remembers that the first portal that Seong entered was a D-rank portal, and he easily cleared it. Kang is also confident because he has reached the peak level in the martial arts that he is learning. Kang realizes that he is slowly drifting away from the quiet life that he wanted for himself. However, he is not worried since it means he is basically adjusting to the way life is. Kang finally steps into the portal armed with only his sword. He is surprised that he is staring into a nice forest, unlike the rumor that some portals are like lava. He notices that there is a blue border at the entrance of the portal, and this is referred to as the safe zone. He steps out of the safe zone area, which puts him at risk of getting attacked by monsters. Since he is in forest terrain, he believes that there won't be any monsters that use tricky magic. With what he read, the animal-type monsters and mineral-type monsters are the ones that usually appear in the type of terrain that he has found himself in. Kang sits down to unleash his aura so he can find the closest monsters to him. Following his master's instructions, he is able to use his aura to locate 3 monsters that are located below the cliff of his current location. Kang excitedly gets back to his feet, ready to chase down the monsters. When it comes to training with his master, he is the one who is always getting chased down, but he wants to turn everything around and give the monsters a taste of what he faces. He leaps off the cliff, dashing toward the monsters with excitement, since this is his first experience in a portal. He soon comes across the 3 monsters, which turn out to be giant monkeys. Kang knows that the monkeys are pretty weak compared to monsters from other portals of the same rank. Because their mana stone drop is also pretty low, hunters don't like going after them. However, their leather seems to be selling for a good price, but most still don't believe that it is worth it because the monsters are very difficult to catch. Kang, on the other hand, doesn't care because only regular hunters might be complaining of such, not him. One of the monsters comes charging at him, but he cleanly removes its head. Since he learned that the mana stones from the monkeys go for 300,000 each, Kang smiles like a horror character as he prepares to hunt them all down. Because the monkeys are quite intelligent, they always figure out when they have no chance against an opponent. To avoid dying, they make a run for it by climbing a tree and fleeing. Their leather is pretty thick, and coupled with their speed, ordinary D-rank hunters always have a tough time taking them down. However, Kang is a different breed as he chases down the monkeys, cutting them down like tissue. Kang figures out that he will get a good price on their leather if he is able to make a clean cut on their necks. Since he doesn't know the exact price, he plans to cut down as many as he can without hesitation. This is Kang's first time cutting down the monsters, and he finds it pretty disgusting. He is only able to cope with it because he has watched audiovisuals of how it usually goes down. Suddenly, blood spills in his mouth, causing him to immediately throw up. The monkeys think this will slow him down, but they look back to see a maniac chasing after them. They are the monsters, but they are the ones getting chased down by a human. As he continues chasing them, he can't stop throwing up. Kang finds it hard to cope with the smell of blood, and he figures out that it is going to take him a while to get used to it. He even tries to stop the vomit by covering his mouth with his hand, but he just can't stop himself. Kang figures out that he needs to get used to the blood before he moves over to the next portal. Kang continues giving the monkeys the worst time of their lives, since he only has 1 hour to clear the dungeon. Meanwhile, on the outside, the soldiers suddenly notice something strange about the portal. Apparently, the portal was blue before, but it has suddenly changed to navy blue. The soldiers are shocked to see this since the navy blue color means the portal has been upgraded to an A-rank portal. The soldiers start to panic and they immediately report the situation to the company commander. One of the soldiers mentions that Kang is inside the portal, but his comrade lets him know that there is no way they can help him because they would most likely die a gruesome death if they tried to. Since they are not hunters, the best they can do is to call for hunters. Basically, it will take at least 4 A-rank hunters to clear the portal. Seonhwa and Iseol soon learn of the sudden change in the portal. Seonhwa panics, but Iseol urges her to calm down, telling her that they need to report the entire situation to the Hunter Management Bureau before making a move. Seonhwa argues with her, reminding her how dangerous A-rank portals can be and that Kang will definitely not be able to handle it all by himself. Iseol then calls Seonhwa's attention to the real reason why portals mutate. Basically, there are 2 ways for a portal to mutate. The first is when the monsters within a portal evolve by repeatedly eating each other. The second situation happens when the monsters inside the portal manage to consume hunters who entered the portal. By consuming the hunters, they absorb their powers and traits. This then leads to the creation of scary and terrifying monsters, making the difficulty of the portal shoot through the roof. Deep down, Iseol fears that Kang is dead. Seonhwa senses what Iseol is thinking, and she argues with her, telling her that the portal most likely evolved because the monsters were preying on each other. Iseol then reminds her friend that it has already been 1 hour since Kang entered the portal. She tries telling her friend that they need to be more realistic when thinking about the entire situation. However, Iseol blames himself for what happened because she was trying to teach Kang a lesson. Since Seonhwa is insisting on entering the portal, Iseol tells her to stay in the safe zone area while she looks for Kang. She is the faster one, so it is the obvious choice, but she lets Seonhwa know that she will knock her out if she fails to follow the order she just gave her. Iseol then urges Seonhwa to run back outside in case things go wrong. The soldiers are surprised to see that Seonhwa and her friend are planning to enter the portal even though they know that the portal's condition has changed. One of the soldiers tries to stop them, but his colleague urges him to grant them permission to enter. He tells his colleague that Iseol is Kim Man-dong's disciple, and she will definitely find a way out of the problem. While entering the portal, Iseol is worried that Kang might encounter the portal boss. This is a monster that takes at least 4 A-rank hunters to defeat because it is most likely a giant poison spider or a giant snake. In a worst-case scenario, it might turn out to be an ogre, called the Nightmare of the Forest. Seonhwa, on the other hand, is praying that Kang is close to the entrance so that they can find him easily. Unknown to them, Kang has gone really deep into the portal, cutting down the monkeys. He has killed at least 50 monkeys, but he has not seen any sign of him clearing the dungeon, and he easily figures out that it is a portal with a separate boss. Apparently, the sky in a portal turns yellow when the portal is cleared, and it vanishes after 12 hours. Kang initially sensed a powerful energy, and this is how he figured out that the portal probably has a separate boss monster. However, he still considers it weird since he is in a D-rank portal, and just as he suspected, a terrifying ogre appears before him. This is a creature that is supposed to be inside an A-rank portal. Kang is stunned since one A-rank hunter is destined to die if 3 of them fight the ogre. However, it is a 4-man A-rank team. One of them will leave the fight totally battered and injured. Kang remembers that in the novel the protagonist got assigned to the wrong portal, and he had a tough time fighting an ogre. However, this was a 2-headed ogre that is usually found in S-rank portals. Kang stares at the ogre with no ounce of fear in his body since he probably knows that he should be able to take it down. Kang believes that 5 A-rank hunters are nothing to him in a battle. Even though he is confident, Kang is still being careful because of the dangers that the ogre poses. The ogre has a thick skin that basically makes a sword tickle it instead of cutting it. Kang is still thinking about the dangers an ogre poses to him when the ogre swings his weapon and almost catches Kang off guard. He manages to dodge the strike, but the strike leaves the impact area shattered. Kang gives the ogre some distance, and he remembers the warning given to hunters about challenging the ogre only when they have mastered Aura Blade. Kang stares at the damage done to the ground by the ogre, and he realizes that he is going to be pulverized if he gets hit. Instead of getting scared of the monster, Kang suddenly gets a rough estimate of how much he is going to sell an ogre stone from old Kang's memory. Apparently it sells for 10 million won, and this is all the motivation that Kang needs to take the ogre seriously. He wastes no time unleashing his aura blade on the ogre, and elsewhere Iseol is rushing in his direction, hoping that he is not dead yet. Iseol has been running for quite a while and hasn't spotted Kang, leaving her to wonder just how far the dude has gone. Momentarily, she discovers the corpses of giant monkeys scattered all around. She notices that the bodies are forming a path, and she figures out that there was a chase between Kang and the monsters. She also found traces of vomit, leading her to automatically believe that Kang was struggling with the fight, which was why he started vomiting. She blames herself for leading the dude to death, but suddenly, it dawns on her that something is wrong. She realizes that the corpses she has been coming across are all in the same condition. Most of the monkeys were relieved of their heads, and it was all done cleanly. Since the monkeys have strong armor, and they also hunt in packs, Iseol knows that she will have a hard time taking a bunch of them down by herself. Iseol starts to wonder if Kang used aura to be able to cut down the monkeys with his shabby blade. Everything finally becomes clear to her that Kang wasn't the one getting chased, but he is the one doing the chasing. However, the question of why Kang threw up still remains. She is left in her confused state when she suddenly hears a terrifying roar. She was already in a calm state until she heard the roar, and she immediately concluded that Kang was a dead man. She recognizes the roar to be from the worst monster that appears in an A-rank dungeon, which is an ogre. She knows that ordinary hunters will naturally freeze up when they hear the roar, and some will even make a run for it. But the result of those who run and wait will end up being the same, since the ogre cannot be outrun. Iseol concludes in her head that Kang is gone without a doubt, but she is also worried that the ogre must have noticed her presence, and she is also in danger. To avoid getting eaten, she decides that running out of the dungeon is the best option for her. She is about to start running away when it dawns on her that ogres roar at the start of a battle, and there is the possibility that Kang is still alive. She starts running toward Kang even though she might not make a difference against the ogre, since 5 A-rank hunters will struggle to take it down. As she heads toward Kang's direction, she starts to think about the possibility of things. She figures out that Seonhwa will never forgive her if she ignores a chance to rescue Kang. Iseol, without hesitation, continues heading toward the danger, while calling Kang's name, hoping that she gets a reply. She finally makes it to where Kang is, and what she meets is totally not what she was expecting. She watches Kang wielding an aura sword while unleashing a powerful slash, which she considers to be nothing short of being called beautiful. She watches Kang tear apart the ogre's hide like it is wet tissue. She doubted Kang's abilities when Seonhwa told her, but now that she has witnessed it firsthand, she realizes that Kang is wielding an aura blade. Iseol is totally stunned until Kang turns around to see her. He is surprised and asks why she is in the dungeon since he is sure that he hasn't exceeded his time limit. With a smile on his face, Kang carelessly tells the lady that he was rushing to take out the monsters, but he ended up running into a boss monster. Iseol is shocked and starts to wonder why Kang is looking so calm. The first thing that came out of her mouth was her asking Kang how he was able to use the aura blade. Kang smiles, telling Iseol that the aura blade is not perfect yet, claiming that he was only able to use it because the ogre showed up out of nowhere. Kang continues by saying he understands why Iseol wanted them to go to a lower rank dungeon. Iseol cannot believe that Kang is acting so casually since the dungeon has already mutated into an A-rank dungeon. Without wasting time, Kang mentions the most important thing to him, which is how much they can get for the ogre and its mana stone. Kang looks back to point at the ogre, but the grueling sight causes him to start vomiting again. Iseol finally realizes that Kang just has a weak stomach, which is why he was vomiting everywhere. Kang reveals that he has been vomiting since he started fighting the monsters, but notices that the sky is blue. Iseol agrees with him, saying it is a sign that the dungeon has been cleared and all that is left for them is to step out and get the recovery team. Before they contact the recovery team, Kang urges Iseol to say she was the one who defeated the ogre. Iseol is shocked by this, and she asks Kang why he would give her the credit for something that he worked really hard for. Kang replies that he doesn't like standing out because news about him defeating an ogre will definitely cause some side talks. Iseol is blown as she stares at Kang, finally realizing that he knew what he was doing when fighting the ogre. Just then, Iseol apologizes for the way she acted towards Kang without properly knowing what he was capable of. Since Kang is not willing to stand out, she believes that Kang has his reasons. She also doesn't know if people will believe that she was the one who defeated the ogre, but at the same time, she is willing to go with it. Iseol stretches her hand toward Kang, telling him that she is looking forward to working with him. With a bright smile, Kang says he is also looking forward to working with her. Iseol immediately withdraws her hand when she sees the disgusting state of Kang's palm. She just tells Kang that it is time for them to get their payment so that she can avoid anything that will make her shake the dude. With this, they successfully cleared a D-rank turned A-rank portal. Seonhwa is shocked when she sees the two coming back safely. Seonhwa wastes no time rushing over to hug Kang, while Iseol bows to apologize to Seonhwa. Kang was genuinely confused about what was going on until he heard the explanation from them that they believed that he had died because the portal had mutated. Kang is impressed by how they ran into danger to rescue him, which makes them loyal companions. Kang apologizes for stressing them out, and he also thanks them for coming in to rescue him. Seonhwa, with tears in her eyes, tells Kang that she is just happy that Kang is safe. Iseol then asks Kang if he knows any dealers to help him sell the corpses. Kang smiles, telling Iseol that she is free to handle it the best way she can, lying that it has been a long time since he hunted. Moments later, Kang steps out of the portal and he heaves a sigh of relief. His smile suddenly turned cold when he saw a troop of soldiers outside the portal. One of the soldiers asks him if he is one of the hunters who went inside, and he says yes. Kang is stunned, and he asks the soldier why they are gathered. The soldier salutes him, saying they received a report that a D-rank portal mutated into an A-rank portal. The soldier reveals that the troop is from the Aegis unit, and they were dispatched at the request of the Hunter Management Agency. The captain asks Kang why he is the only one stepping out of the portal when there were 3 who entered. Kang finally realizes that everyone is gathered because they were scared that the team was already wiped out in the portal. Kang assures the soldiers that the other hunters are safe because they have cleared the portal. The soldier cannot believe what Kang just said about the portal being conquered. Kang is still trying to prove this when a giant ogre head tries to come through the portal. The soldiers scream when they see this and they are prepared to fire their weapons, but Iseol's voice echoes from behind, telling them not to fire their weapons. She assures them that everyone on the team is safe. Iseol tries pushing out the giant ogre's head but couldn't, and she tells Kang that they might have to cut down the ogre's head into pieces. Kang then tells her to return the head into the dungeon so that he can cut it down. The captain is stunned when they see this, and he starts to wonder how an ogre is killed by just 3 hunters. The soldiers had always seen an ogre only during their training sessions, but never with their own eyes. The talk about how 5 A-rank hunters are needed to take down the ogre continues. The soldiers immediately believe that Iseol defeated the ogre by herself, since she is Kim Man-dong's disciple. The soldiers even disses Kang, saying he is just a weakling with a pretty face. However, some of the soldiers conclude that Kang also helped to take down the ogre. Kang, on the other hand, is glad that everyone believes that Iseol was the one who defeated the ogre. Kang is also glad that the Heavenly Demon sword style worked because he would have had to struggle against the ogre if the technique didn't work. Momentarily, a familiar dealer, whom Iseol usually uses, shows up. The dealer is shocked to see the ogre's corpse, leaving him to ask Iseol how she did it. However, he concludes that Iseol was able to do it because she is Kim Man-dong's disciple. Iseol chuckles nervously, saying she was lucky to have defeated the ogre, and she asks the dealer how much he can give them for the corpses. The dealer assesses the monkeys, and after a quick evaluation, he tells Isiol and Kang that he will be giving them 16 million. Kang almost loses his mind when he hears the huge amount of money being offered. Isiol is pleased with the offer, and she asks the dealer about the ogre too. The dealer admits that the ogre's bones are fine, even though the skin is pretty damaged. Since the hide will be hard to use, he offers up 13 million, excluding the mana stone from the ogre. Isiol argues with the dealer, saying it is cheap, but Kang is already losing his mind from the boggling amount of money being called in his presence. Before he knows it, the money adds up to 40 million, and Kang doesn't know when he starts celebrating the huge win. Even the dealer is shocked to see this, and he asks Isiol why Kang is celebrating when he wasn't even the one who defeated the ogre. Isiol doesn't know what to say to defend Kang, and she just tells the dealer to deposit the money into Kang's account, claiming that there is a reason for it. Kang considers hunting monsters a very lucrative deal because he has been able to make 40 million from clearing just a single dungeon. Kang knows fully well that he would have quit his job as a teacher and started working as a hunter full-time if not for Seong. In no time, Kang receives the money in his account, and surprisingly, he gives Seonhwa and Isiol 10% each, which sums up to 4 million each. Isiol and Seonhwa are surprised by this, and they try telling Kang that he had no obligation to help them since they didn't do anything, but Kang says he did it to apologize for worrying them. The ladies are hesitant to take the money, but Kang urges them to take it, reminding them that they still have more missions to go on together. Kang excitedly tells the two that he is happy to be working with them. Isiol stands there in awe, and before she knows it, her face has turned red. During dinner that night, Seonhwa notices that Isiol has been out of her zone since Kang left. She asks her if there is a problem, but Isiol assures her that she is fine since all she did the entire day was carry monster corpses and drive the car. However, she is thankful because she was able to earn 4 million without even doing anything. She then reveals that she feels bad about taking the money and is even considering returning it. Seonhwa believes that her friend is definitely not spacing out because of 4 million, considering that she is an A-rank hunter. Unknown to her, Isiol is still flustered by what she witnessed Kang do to the ogre when they were in the dungeon. She realizes that the skill Kang used is a very dangerous one that she hasn't witnessed from any other hunter. Isiol then tells her friend that Kang might be the key to unlocking the next step of power for her, because she has been stagnant since she got promoted to A rank. Just then, Kim Mandong appears in the room with a big pot of soup and a pink teddy apron. He reveals that he has heard the report about their expedition into the dungeon, but he knows that Isiol doesn't have the strength to take on an ogre alone. He suspects that Kang was the one who landed the final blow, and Isiol confirms this, saying no one would believe her since Kang is a B-rank hunter. She tells her master that Kang also doesn't want people to know his strength. Isiol then asks Kim Mandong about the open position of spearmanship at the school. Apparently, Isiol is interested in the position, claiming that she should be able to get the hang of it since she will be teaching kids. Isiol excitedly reveals that her guild contract is about to end, and she will resume teaching at the school as the spearmanship instructor. Meanwhile, Kang has gone to see his master to tell him how he was able to cut the vice principal's body, thanks to the techniques that he taught him. However, the old man just sits down to enjoy his ramen, while the dude talks about how he defeated the vice principal. Kang notices that his master is actually smiling even though he is trying hard not to show it. Cho then tells Kang that the vice principal is a pretty shameless person to have used a superior technique on someone who is lower than him. Kang then asks his master if his performance is worth 110 points, but the old man deducts even 20 marks, saying his performance is just 90 marks because he is an arrogant fool. Nonetheless, Kang bows to his master, thanking him because he was able to perform well in the duel thanks to him. Cho scolds Kang, telling him to reward him with some pork stew if he really wants to show gratitude. Kang then reveals that he didn't come empty-handed. He mentions that he brought something that he planned to give to him before his fight with the vice principal. But circumstances changed. Kang reaches into his bag and brings out textbooks that are used for studying the language in the outside world. Kang was able to do this since Cho was curious about the changes that had occurred in the outside world. Cho is impressed that Kang had the insight to think of such. Just then, he notices an unusual book, and he calls Kang's attention to it. It turns out that the said book is a laptop, and Kang shows Cho how to open the laptop. He plays a music video for him, and Cho is shocked when he sees beautiful ladies in short dresses. Kang is forced to tell the old man to calm his nerves, because what he is looking at is a mere recording of human appearances. Cho is totally flustered with the video, and Kang smiles when he sees how focused he is. Kang knows that Cho has been alone for a really long time, and even though he claims he is used to it, Kang knows that everyone needs a companion at some point. Cho is surprised that people don't cover themselves up again like before, and he concludes that the outside world is corrupt. Kang tries to explain, but the old man cuts him off, telling him that he is only messing with him. Kang then informs the old man that he is going to be busy henceforth, and he only came to show the old man how to use the laptop before he goes to do what he has to. Kang reveals that he is planning to go out to take out monsters since he has said the best way to get better is through combat experience. Kang then sits the old man down and starts teaching him how to move the mouse, turn on the laptop, and so forth. Cho just stares at him like a proud father staring at his son. Soon afterward, Kang meets with Seonhwa and Iseol. Iseol welcomes him much better than before, and she proposes that they use her car again. On their way to the location, Kang notices that there is something weird in the back seat, and he asks about it. Iseol reveals that it is a collapsible spear, which she wants to start using starting from that very day. Kang is shocked to hear this since there was no scene in the story where Iseol started using a spear. She is a master when it comes to close combat, but for her to suddenly start using a spear is something that scares Kang. Seonhwa then reveals that the spear instructor position at the school is currently open, and Iseol is applying for it. Kang's brain goes into freeze mode when he hears this because Jong was the spear instructor, and he angrily left the school because he lost to Kang. It starts to dawn on Kang that the original story might have changed. He wonders if he made a mistake somewhere or if he made mention of a spear to Iseol. Kang then asks Iseol why she is suddenly making a change out of nowhere. Iseol casually tells Kang that she wants to experience what it means to be a teacher since she still gets to kill monsters during break. Kang hears this and concludes that he needs to stop Iseol before things go really bad. Kang tells Iseol that handling a spear might be difficult for her, but Iseol argues, saying the spear techniques used at the school are at the basic level, and she believes she will be able to handle the task. In fact, Iseol is pretty confident that she is going to ace the exam, but suddenly she reveals that her plan doesn't go past the semester. Kang is relieved when he hears that Iseol is just going to teach at the school as a temporary teacher for one semester. She reveals that she will switch to a close combat instructor if she gets to enjoy life at the school. Once this is out of the way, Seonhwa reveals that the portal that they have been assigned for the day is where undead monsters are common. Seonhwa suggests that they eat first since it will take them some time to get there. Kang is already asking what they are going to buy when the two ladies reveal that they packed lunchboxes. Kang is taken aback, and he tells the girls that he might have to stop at a convenience store to get things since he didn't pack any food items. Seonhwa then urges Kang not to worry, saying she packed a separate lunchbox for him too. Kang is blown away by this, as he wasn't expecting anyone to go to the lengths of packing a lunchbox for him. When he was in high school, he didn't have the luxury of having lunchboxes. He was only thankful for the few thousand that his parents left for him on the table. Kang expresses his surprise, and Seonhwa lets him know that there is no way that they are going to pack food for themselves without including his own. Seonhwa then mentions that she saw a park on the map and she suggests that they eat there. Kang lets them know that he has no objections to the plan since anywhere is fine by him. The group soon sits down to enjoy their meal, and after they are done, they head into the portal. Just as expected, they meet undead monsters. Seonhwa stays at the rear, buffing up her teammates while Kang and Iseol crush the monsters. This continues for several days as they visit other portals, clearing them out with ease. After one of their missions, Iseol receives an unexpected call, which turns out to be from her uncle. Apparently, her uncle needs her for an urgent mission concerning an A-rank portal, which might span across 1 week. Iseol turns to her teammates asking them if they are available, and Kang, being the bright dude he is, wastes no time accepting to go with her. Kang realizes that he is just about to receive a major turning point in his second life. Once Iseol has gotten the consent of her teammates, she tells her uncle that she will call back after she has adjusted her schedule. After dropping the call, Kang asks her what the problem is, and he lets her know that she is free to share because he is ready to help if it is within his power to do so. Iseol says she is relieved to have Kang by her side, but she mentions that it is a matter of time and long distance. Kang is still confused about this, and Seonhwa mentions that Iseol's uncle is the guildmaster of the High-Rank Guild, located in Jeju Island. Iseol reveals that there were some casualties at an A-rank portal, which has left them short-staffed. Because of this, he wants them to come over to help for a week. Iseol assures Kang that all the logistics materials will be provided. Excitedly, Kang lets Iseol know that he would help even if the logistics are not provided. Seonhwa is also excited to help, and she tells the two that she will be in charge of cooking and magic. Iseol thanks Kang for his kind gesture and assures him that she will buy him every delicious food that he wants once they return. Iseol then asks if they can leave the day after tomorrow, and Kang agrees to this, since they are going to need a day's rest. When Kang remembers that his students are on Jeju Island, he wonders if there is a way that they are going to meet once their schedules align. The following day, Kang starts packing everything that he needs for the journey. Just then, it dawns on him that he might not be able to board the plane with his sword. At the same time, he gets a call from Seora, and Kang believes that it is the perfect timing since he can ask about the sword. Seora is shocked that Kang picked up the call once, and Kang reveals that he is taking a break from the portals. He then asks Seora if there is a way that he can get his sword on a plane. Seora initially tells Kang that he is crazy before telling him that he can show his hunter's license at the airport. and his sword will be treated as luggage. Seora then tells Kang that she was actually calling about Kang's license. She reminds Kang that it is time for him to renew his license. She urges him to hurry and renew the license because he won't be able to teach at the school the following semester if he doesn't. Kang picks up his license and realizes that Seora is actually right because he has just a month left on the license. Kang wonders how Seora knows this, and Seora confesses that she was contacted by Antas some days ago. She says it was a regular call, but his name ended up coming up. Kang is surprised that Antas is still talking about him even though he has parted ways with them. Seora then reminds him that he has gotten quite popular thanks to his recent activities. Kang is surprised that Antas knows about all of these, even though he is being careful. Seora lets him know that Antas's influence reaches everywhere, and some of the challenge letters he received were also from Antas's agents. Seora lets Kang know that Antas is currently short-staffed, and because of this, they are looking to recruit Kang again. Apparently, they have even told Seora to lure Kang back in by deceiving him that she has accepted his proposal, but she reveals that she made an excuse to avoid it. Seora assures Kang that Antas won't be disturbing him again for some time. However, Kang is more interested in how she was able to get them to back off. Seora is hesitant to tell Kang, but he assures her that it is fine. Seora confesses that she said something really disgusting, and this is that Kang stole her socks so he could smell them. Even though the lie was really disgusting and demeaning, Kang didn't mind as long as he got off Antas's radar. He even thanks Seora for the assistance. The next day, Kang meets with Seonhwa and Isiol at the airport. Kang is shocked to see the crowd at the airport, and Seonhwa says the airport is probably packed because it is vacation season. Isiol tells Kang that the injured hunters will soon return to work, and if they are able to work hard for a few days, they will also have some time on their hands to play. Once they landed, Isiol's cousin Hong Yesul met up with them. Hong Yesul happily welcomes them, and she appears to be an enthusiastic girl, a completely different person from Isiol. She even gets along well with Seonhwa rather than her own cousin. After she is tired of shenanigans, Isiol tells Yesul to greet Kang. Yesul walks over to Kang, and she reveals her shock that Kang is just a teacher, since he is built more like a celebrity. After they are done with the whole greeting, Yesul tells them that she is going to explain the details of the mission to them as they head to the guild. Yesul explains that in the past week, loads of forces from the guild were deployed to an A-rank 10-person dungeon. However, 3 ogres appeared during the dungeon raid. In the end, the hunters managed to clear the dungeon, but one of them died in the process. However, the vice master of the guild and all team members with him were all injured. Some of them are suffering from the trauma of losing their comrade and have even revealed their plans to retire. Kang understands what the hunters are going through because there is no amount of magic that can heal emotional trauma. They soon arrive at the guild, and Yesul lets them know that they are free to leave their luggage in the lobby while she takes them to where they will be staying. Kang stands in front of the guild's building and expresses his shock that the guild has such a big building to itself. Yesul corrects his assumption, telling him that the guild only uses the 7th floor up to the 10th floor. Just then, the guildmaster and Isiol's uncle, Hong Jong-sik, show up to welcome them. Isiol asks her uncle if he is doing fine, and the man teases her, replying that he wouldn't have asked for help if he was doing fine. Jong-sik walks up to Seonhwa to ask after her father. She reveals that her father sends his greetings and lets him know that he would have come by himself if he could have. Jong-sik then turns to Kang to welcome him with a bright smile. Kang sees this and realizes that the entire family is cursed with brightness. Once they enter the guild, Jong-sik does a quick summary of what Yesul has already told them. He then reveals that they are planning to conquer a B-grade 7-person dungeon. Apparently, the guild has a habit of deploying more than the required number of hunters into a dungeon because they value their hunters' safety. However, they are short on staff, and since they are low on numbers, he tells Kang and his team that all they can provide are 5 people. Isiol gladly tells her uncle that the numbers are quite enough for them, and she asks Kang for his opinion. Just then, Kang reveals that 5 people alongside them are actually too many. He says 3 people should be okay to join them, and even reveals his doubt that they are being sent into a B-rank portal with additional support. Kang then finishes it by saying the profit gained from the dungeons will reduce with a high personnel involved in the raid. Jong-sik is shocked to hear all of these, and he asks Kang what his former guild is. Kang reveals that it was the Chase Guild, and after he says this, Jong-sik stares at him disgustingly, telling him that the guild's B-rank team has excellent teamwork. Jong-sik walks up to Kang, looking all menacing while berating him for suggesting that they reduce the number of personnel for the mission. Isiol freezes in fear when she sees this because she understands that Jong-sik is pissed because he doesn't know what Kang is capable of doing. Jong-sik decides that he has to teach Kang a lesson, but being arrogant, he tells him to follow him. Isiol tries to cut in, but her uncle tells her to stay away because the matter is all about the safety of his guild members, who will be joining them on the mission. Jong-sik believes that Kang is no more than a joker. Just then, Kang pulls out his sword to show his skills, the Aura Blade. Apparently, Kang is now getting better at using the Aura Blade after he fought in portals. Jungsik is shocked when he sees this, since Kang is said to be a B-rank hunter. Kang tries to play a fool, saying he merely picked up the skill along the way, but it isn't perfect yet. Jungsik finally realizes that he judged Kang before knowing him. Kang then apologizes if he sounded reckless, but he lets Jungsik know that he and the girls have been working as a trio with no problem so far. Jungsik then takes a minute to think about it. He realizes that it is actually a blessing if he can cut down on the number of personnel that can enter the dungeon since he is already short-staffed. While thinking about it, Seonhwa cuts in, telling Jungsik to trust Kang because he recently won a match against her father. Kang tries to debunk this, claiming that the vice principal went easy on him, but Seonhwa maintains that he is the winner, judging by the rules set for them. Jungsik is shocked to see that Kang was the one who managed to land a hit on Kim Man-dong. Iseol quickly supports the conversation, saying Kang is the real deal. Jungsik is confused that, with the level of skill that Kang has, he is still B-rank. He asks Kang if there is a reason for this. Kang reveals that there is no particular reason other than the fact that he hasn't met the requirements for the promotion exam yet. Apparently, the requirement for the A-rank exam is to clear over 100 B-rank portals, and overseas activities do not count. Because of this, Kang reveals that he has not been able to take the exam. He tells Jungsik his plan to renew his license and try to meet the requirements the following year. Jungsik then urges Kang to make sure he takes the exam when he is liable to do so. Iseol thanks her uncle, but Jungsik replies that he has not backed down just yet. He still believes that Kang is not fit since he wasn't able to meet the A-rank requirements. He tells Kang that he lacks experience, even though he is pretty strong. Jungsik then reveals that he will be assigning 2 hunters with support skills and local geography for them. Kang is impressed to see that Jungsik saw through the fact that he lacked experience, and he compensated with the right personnel. Kang admits that he and his team have no synchronized formation, even though they have been working together. They have basically been entering portals and wiping out the monsters while Seonhwa stays at the rear to buff them up. However, Yazul is now joining them, and they will also be getting 2 other hunters too. Later on, they meet the hunters who will be joining them. The dude is Han Guangho, and he is a B-rank hunter. The lady is Lee Jihye, and she is also a B-rank hunter. Apparently, the 2 are the most skilled in the areas that they need. Guangho is in charge of monster detection, while Jihye will handle the terrain. Kang is impressed that Jungsik noticed the deficiency of a long-range fighter in the team and decided to compliment that. He admits that Jungsik might be a flashy person, but he is a pretty detailed person. Momentarily, they head into the dungeon. The dungeon is a rugged cave-type terrain which is full of blind spots that give monsters easy access to them. The monsters present in the cave are also big red mice. Basically, the portal was postponed because it was pretty difficult. Guangho suggests that they run the dungeon for just 2 hours, and Kang agrees to this. Moments later, Jihye notices a monster behind her, and before she can pull her bow and arrow to take it out, Kang has already slashed the monster down. With just 1 strike, he slices the mouse in half. Kang is disappointed by the appearance of the mouse because he had pictured something more funny in his head. While Iseol and Kang are talking about the mouse and the appearance, Jihye is still stunned by what happened. She realized that Kang was able to sense the monster faster than a B-rank detection, and not only that, he took down the monster without using mana. Seonhwa then asks Kang if there are more monsters in the cave, and he says yes, saying he can sense a bulk load of them in the area. Guangho then asks Kang if he also has detection skills, and Kang says yes, assuring the team that he will also provide cover. Jihye and Guangho are surprised to hear this, and it finally dawns on them just how amazing Kang is, which is why he reduced the party numbers. 2 hours after entering the portal, Guangho and Jihye find themselves chasing after Iseol and Kang. The 2 have run down the monsters ahead of them and have even cleared the dungeon before they know it. Jihye is forced to ask Yasul if Kang is really a B-rank hunter. Yasul says he is, but she also doesn't know him well. Yasul reveals that Iseol was the one who brought Kang, and she mentions his full name. Guangho hears his full name and realizes that he actually knows Kang. Guangho remembers challenging him to a duel once, but seeing what Kang is capable of now, he is thankful that he didn't fight Kang. Yasul then tells her friends that they will probably be walking home empty-handed since they didn't do anything during the raid. Suddenly, they hear Kang talking about how they are going to share the profit evenly. Yasul and the others remind Kang that they didn't do anything, but Kang says he doesn't mind. After all, they won't have been able to enter the dungeon without meeting the required number of hunters. He lets them know that he appreciates the fact that they trusted a stranger. Guangho realizes that Kang is genuine with his gift, and he rushes over to hug him like a brother. With this, the team continued carrying out several expeditions on the island. At the same time, Kang's students on the island have gotten the idea that he is on the island, and they have started texting him, telling him to come and meet up with them. On the third day of the expedition, Guangho and the extras in the team talk about how lucky they are to have Sonhwa, Iseol, and Kang on the team, because they have been the ones doing all the work. After coming out of one of the portals, Sonhwa reminds Kang that he has an appointment. Kang reveals that he wants to meet up with his students, who came to Jeju for a vacation trip. Since he is covered in blood and monsters' dirt, Sonhwa advises him to wash up before going. Kang is glad that the team is already getting used to each other, and things are probably going to become easier the following week, since the injured hunters will be returning. Guangho then asks Kang if he needs a car to go see his students. Kang says there is no need for this since he plans to take a taxi, but Guangho insists that he take his car, since this is the least he can do to help. Kang takes the car, and while he is on his way to meet the students, he puts a call through to them. The students are excited that their teacher is finally coming to meet them. He asks them if they need anything while also asking if they are all together. Jinsu reveals that one of the twins, Onseo, came down with a fever, and she stayed back at the inn. Jinsu reveals that they will be back at the inn in an hour, and Kang lets them know that he is fine with the timing. When he asks them again what they want, they start screaming a whole bunch of stuff on the phone, and Kang is forced to drop the call. However, he heard that they wanted beef, and he decided to stop by the supermarket to grab some drinks and snacks for the kids. Just then, he notices that there is bad traffic on the highway, leaving him to wonder what might be wrong. He comes across a checkpoint, but instead of police officers, he realizes that there are soldiers there. He then asks one of the soldiers what happened and why there is bad traffic. The soldier reveals that a monster escaped during a raid near a dungeon close to the area. Apparently, the hunters sent to contain the monster failed to contain it, which is why they are locking down the entire area. Kang doesn't think too much of it before he suddenly realizes that Unseo is at the inn. Kang asks the soldier about the range of the lockdown, and he reveals that the entire district is on lockdown. Kang is asked if he is a resident inside the lockdown region. He says no, but he has someone in the inn located in the area. The soldier then suggests that he call Onseo. After a few seconds, Onseo picks up the call. With fear in his voice, he asks Onseo where she is. Onseo reveals that she is at the inn, and Kang urges her to carefully listen to what he is about to tell her. He lets Onseo know that a monster escaped from a nearby portal and that almost everyone has evacuated the district. Kang urges Onseo not to leave the inn since the entire area will be quiet. The soldiers mention that the monster that escaped is the Shadow Reaper, and Kang knows just how dangerous the Shadow Reaper is. Basically, the Shadow Reaper is a B-rank dungeon boss monster. It possesses stealth abilities and a considerable amount of power, which makes it a tricky beast to face. Kang repeats his instruction, telling Onseo not to leave the inn no matter what, so the Shadow Reaper doesn't see her. Just then, Onseo asks her teacher if the Shadow Reaper carries a large scythe and also wears a black robe. Kang confirms this, believing that Onseo paid attention in class. However, Onseo tells him that he is wrong because for some reason, he is basically staring at the Shadow Reaper. Onseo then adds that it is going to be hard for her to avoid the monster. Kang gets more upset when he hears this, as he asks Onseo for more details. Onseo then tells the teacher that she is not the only one in the area. It turns out that there are some kids hiding behind a car who failed to evacuate when everyone was leaving. The Shadow Reaper is right behind the car where the kids are hiding. Out of fear, one of the kids makes a tiny sound, catching the attention of the Shadow Reaper. The Shadow Reaper raises its scythe, ready to slash the kids, but Onseo hits it with an energy blast to get its attention. Onseo immediately tells Kang that he needs to get to her and fast. She lets her teacher know that she won't be able to run for long, thanks to the fever messing with her. Before Kang knows it, he loses reception with Onseo, and he starts screaming on the phone trying to reach her. Kang turns to the soldiers, telling them that he might be a teacher, but he is also a hunter who is currently working with the Haerang Guild. He asks the soldiers if there is a way for him to get through the traffic. Since he is a hunter, the soldiers let him know that he is free to move past, but since the traffic is really bad, he might have to wait till the cars ahead of him move out of the way. Instead of waiting around for the cars ahead of him to move, Kang spots a route in the bush beside him, and he points to it to let the soldiers know that he is willing to pass there. Meanwhile, Guangho and the team are having fun after a successful expedition in the dungeons. Guangho is enjoying cups of beer, and he invites Jihei, who reluctantly accepts, even though she doesn't drink beer. She claims that she was really thirsty for anything because of the 3-day marathon. Guangho is also glad that Kang is helping out because he will be able to pay off his car loan in no time. He even sees himself getting rich in no time. Apparently, he bought the car with a 36-month installment plan, and because Kang is helping them clear the dungeons faster, he knows he is going to earn a lot. Guangho believes that Kang will also be with his students. But unknown to him, Kang has turned his car into an off-road vehicle as he uses it to clear a path through the rough terrain. At the same time, Onseo is trying to get away from the Shadow Reaper that is now after her life. She remembers what Kang told them in class about avoiding the urge to be a hero because it might end up causing more problems. Back then, Unseo had asked what they could do in situations where they had no choice. Kang told them to assess their surroundings, and after this, they should try to make a run for it. Unseo questions why they need to assess the surroundings when they are going to run away in the end. Kang replied that this is to help them know exactly where to run to increase their chances of survival. Kang also has a thing for making the students run every single day without fail. Unseo and the others have always questioned his decision to make them run every day. But now that she's in a tight spot, trying to get away from the Shadow Reaper, she realizes that Kang has been trying to prepare them for situations like this. She narrowly missed death, which is thanks to Kang's teachings. Unseo moved just at the right time to avoid being impaled by the monster's scythe. Unseo knows how dangerous Shadow Reapers are, and she considers her little escape a miracle. While standing in the distance, she sees the kids that she just helped, and this makes her remember why she wanted to become a hunter in the first place. Initially, she joined the hunter school because her sister came too. Her sister was shocked the day she found out that Unseo came to the hunter school because of her. Her sister then reminds her of something that she had forgotten since she was a kid. Apparently, when they were younger, Unseo watched documentaries about people who lost their families to monsters. Moved by this, Unseo mentioned that she wanted to become a hunter to help prevent such an occurrence from happening. Unseo doesn't remember it, but her sister does. This was why Unseo's sister also decided to become a hunter in order to protect her younger sister. Unseo knows that she would have had the time to escape if she had ignored the kids, but she knows she won't be able to face her sister when she returns home. Unseo screams at the kids to get to the nearest shelter while she lures the monster away. Suddenly, Unseo notices that the monster has disappeared. Unseo immediately stops to assess the situation, and this is when she remembers that the Shadow Reaper is feared because of its elusive nature. Before she knows it, the Shadow Reaper appears behind her. Unseo is already caught in the monster's shadow, and there is no escape for her. She can only watch as the Shadow Reaper raises its scythe, ready to decapitate her. At that moment, Kang appears in the distance, driving recklessly toward them, and he hits the Shadow Reaper with the car. 3 minutes earlier, Kang was tracking down Unseo's position using his Kai. Using his ki, he is able to determine the figures that are humans, and the particular figure that is the monster. Kang believes that nothing serious will happen to Unseo since she appeared in the original story. However, he remembers that some things have not been adding up. Things like Seora leaving Antas or Iseol's decision to join the school. Kang believes that the actions he has taken so far might cause a butterfly effect, which can make Unseo's fate become unpredictable. Not ready to accept this reality, Kang stepped on the gas and focused his ki to track down the monster. The moment he locked onto the Shadow Reaper, he pushed the car to its limit as he cut through the trees, and he hit the Shadow Reaper with the car. Kang jumps out of the car and heads straight for the Shadow Reaper. He is pissed that there is a monster trying to hurt his student. He hits the Shadow Reaper with so much anger that it throws it to the ground. Kang looks like a scary villain before finishing off the Shadow Reaper with just his bare hands, which he infused with a devastating energy blast. Unseo witnessed this, leaving her totally stunned. Kang ends up in the water beside them alongside the Shadow Reaper's dead body. Kang finally emerges from the water, heaving a sigh of relief that he made it just in time to save his student, because she definitely would have been done for if he had arrived just a minute later. Kang climbs out of the river, casually asking Unseo if she is fine. Before he knows it, Unseo jumps into his arms with tears in her eyes. Kang realizes that the girl must have been really scared, even though she stood up for the kids. Kang urges her not to cry since she wasn't hurt anywhere. Unseo then reminds Kang of the car that has ended up at the bottom of the river. Kang pats her on the head, telling her that it is just a car. The only thing is that he is glad that she is safe. Meanwhile, the car owner is sleeping soundly in his room, not knowing that his car is totally wrecked. Momentarily, the news about the defeat of the Shadow Reaper spread quickly, thanks to the kids who ran to report it. In no time, several vehicles from the military, medical staff, and the like arrive on the scene. Kang and Unseo sit behind an ambulance, and Kang asks Unseo if she will call her parents, but Unseo says no because they might just make her come back home and end the trip. Kang understands where she's coming from, and he commends her for being a hero. However, he is worried that she could have been hurt, but Unseo reminds her teacher that he saved her. Kang then teases her, asking her what she would have done if he had arrived even a minute late. Unseo then decides to taunt her teacher with his handsome face. Unseo jumps out of the back of the ambulance, telling Kang that she will be seeing him at the inn later. She thanks him for the help, and before Kang can stop her, a police officer shows up. The police officer informed Kang that they have recovered the Reaper's corpse. The police then ask Kang which guild he is working with, and he reveals that he is just a teacher at the hunter school. The police officer is impressed to hear this, and he salutes Kang, telling him that things would definitely have gone south if he hadn't killed the Shadow Reaper. Kang doesn't think it is something that requires much appreciation, but the police officer lets him know that it does, and he urges Kang to follow him to the police headquarters so he can write a report on what happened. He assures Kang that it won't take long, and Kang agrees to it. Kang heads to the headquarters thinking everything will be fast. But before he knows it, he finds himself talking to the governor, the police chief, and even the guildmaster who allowed the monster to escape. Kang cannot believe that they interviewed him separately when they could have done it all at once. Kang's mood changes for the better when he learns that he is going to be compensated for what he did. Apparently, the guild that mismanaged the monster promised to pay for the Shadow Reaper corpse and also give Kang a reward. In addition to this, they said they would buy a new car for Guang Ho because his car was wrecked. In all of these, the governor also reveals his plan to put together a Righteous Person award for Kang. Kang wants the money but doesn't want the award. The governor tries to convince him that he deserves the award since he did well. Kang is trying to avoid the award because he knows that this will put him on Antis's radar. Since the governor is insisting, he tells the governor to give the award to Unseo, since she risked her life to lure the monster away. The governor finally agrees to this, and after this, the police officer tells Kang that he is willing to take him wherever he is going. Kang then asks if the butcher shop will still be open because his students want to eat beef. Momentarily, Kang meets up with his students with the beef. They waste no time grilling the beef and they start consuming it. Kang sits in the distance, admiring how good his students are. The students soon offer Kang the chance to stay the night. He tries to dodge the chance, but they insist, telling him that he can also follow them to the beach the next day. Kang finally agrees, and he asks the kids to play board games with him. The next day, Kang joins the students on the beach. He sits on the beach chair while the students play in the water. Kang cannot believe that the students still have enough energy in them to play around even though they stayed up all night. He is already planning on increasing the number of laps that they are going to run once the semester resumes. Just then, Jinsu and the others cook up a plan. They leave the water and walk up to their teacher, asking him if he is bored. Kang replies that he is fine where he is, but the students have other plans. They all try to grab him at the same time, but they are no match for him as he easily moves away from the chair, leaving them to catch the air. The students are not ready to give up, even though Kang is pretty elusive, as they continue chasing after him. Kang casually tells them that they are still not at the level where they can catch him. Kang then tells Jinsu to follow him and get drinks while Unseo stays behind to watch over the others. Unseo's sister Yunsu is shocked when she hears this, asking Kang if he is showing favoritism to Unseo. Kang casually tells her to be well-behaved like her younger sister. Kang continues walking away, telling them to stay put while he is gone. Jinsu asks Kang if he plans to leave the girls to themselves, and he says yes. Jinsu is glad that he is close to the teacher because he could have ended up just like the girls. While Kang and Jinsu are gone, Unseo resorts to a terrible method to keep the girls at bay. She places sandcups on their arms, telling them not to move until the teacher returns. The girls are obviously frustrated, but they can't do anything since Unseo is in charge while the teacher is away. As if things are not bad enough for the girls already, some female praying dudes arrive at the beach and immediately focus their attention on the girls. The dudes ask the girls if they are willing to hang out with them, but the girls ignore them and look at them disgustingly, which is a clear sign telling them to back off. However, the dudes do not want to take no for an answer as they try to sweet-talk their way to get the girls' attention. The girls are forced to reveal that they are minors. But even with this, the dudes are not ready to back down. They are offered drinks, but the girls still refuse to take the drinks. One of the annoying dudes grabs the brown-haired girl and she angrily twists his arm, causing him intense pain before running through the rest of the dudes like they are nothing. Apparently, hunters are punished when they get into a fight with civilians, and this applies to hunter trainees because their strength is incomparable to that of civilians. In the end, the girl didn't beat up the dudes because everything that happened was just her imagination of running through the dudes. She even tells one of the guys that she has already imagined beating him to a pulp, but the dude just won't back off. The girl wishes that she could just move because she would have beaten the crap out of the delinquents. Just then, Kang returns to the beach, and he is surprised to see some dudes with his students. Kang is surprised that he has been gone for just 10 minutes and everything is already upside down. The leader of the delinquents sees Kang and immediately walks over like he is some mafia boss. He starts making fun of Kang's face, saying he looks like a student. Kang doesn't overreact as he tries to talk to the dude nicely, but he is so annoying that he is not making it easy for Kang to look away. Kang urges the dude to get a move on since the girls have already rejected him. Kang calls him a pathetic loser, and this pisses him off. He believes that Kang is trying to look cool in front of him, and he decides to teach him a lesson. He tried reaching for Kang, but Kang easily grabbed his arm and twisted it to cause him immense pain. The other delinquent comes running over to Kang, but he easily dodges him while still enjoying his popsicle. Kang then reads out the school's article, 10 for them, which mandates him to protect his students in the face of danger. The last guy on the team immediately figures out that they are up against a hunter, and he pulls out his phone to call the cops to report that hunters are attacking civilians. Kang hits him at his pressure points before getting the phone from him, telling him that he would gladly help him call the cops. The delinquents realize that they are done for and try to run away, but Kang stops them. Momentarily, Kang's police friend shows up and Kang explains the situation to him. Kang has already restricted them in ways that they cannot escape. After getting his report, the police officer grabs the delinquents and pushes them into his cop car. The police officer assures Kang that they will handle the delinquents, and Kang is free to enjoy the rest of his stay on the island. After the police are gone, Jinsu expresses his shock that their teacher knows a police officer, and Kang explains that he only met him by luck after the Shadow Reaper incident. This makes Kang look even cooler in front of his students as they all praise him. Kang wants to leave, but the students insist that he play with them. The teacher agrees, and the students rush off to the beach. Unseo is the only one to stay behind, and just then, she notices a lady talking to Kang. The lady tells Kang that she has been watching him for quite some time. With her face red, she tells Kang that he is a cool dude. She then asks Kang if it is possible for her to get his number. Kang is blown away when he hears this, leaving him so stunned that he has no way to recover from the situation. He doesn't even know what to say, and he starts to stutter. Before Kang gets the chance to save the situation, Unseo grabs him by the arm and drags him away after telling the lady that Kang is seeing someone. Kang tries to protest since Unseo is about to ruin his potential love life, but Unseo doesn't care as she continues dragging her teacher. Once they are away from the lady, Unseo turns around to push out her tongue to diss the lady. Kang even wants Unseo to let him go, but she refuses, saying Kang will just go back to the lady. Kang admits that she is not entirely wrong about it. Just then, the lady brings out her phone and she puts a call through to someone suspicious, telling them that she has found Kang's weakness. The person on the other end of the phone turns out to be the former spear instructor, Zhang, who holds a serious beef against Kang, and he wants to do everything to ruin him. Soon afterward, Kang and his team prepare to head back to Seoul. The kids have been sent ahead while the adults make preparations to join them. Just as promised, Guang-ho gets a new loaded car. Kang and the team also joined the A-rank hunters of the guild that had just returned, and they all raided an A-rank portal. Meanwhile, Unseo also received the Brave Citizen Award on Kang's behalf. However, Kang's name got mentioned in the report that he was the one who took down the monster, but the spotlight remained on Unseo. When Seonhwa is ready to go, she promises to cook Yasul a nice, delicious dish the next time they see each other. Jongshik also praises Kang for his help and admits that he initially doubted his strength. Jongshik then lets Kang know that no matter how much effort he puts into hiding his strength, the world will eventually find out. He urges him to prepare himself for the day it happens. Jongshik then urges him to make sure that the next time they meet, his rank matches his abilities. Kang smiles, saying he will try his best to make sure this happens. With this, Kang and his team return to Seoul. Meanwhile, Jongshik has an S-rank file with him, and it seems he is already projecting Kang to be an S-rank hunter. The moment he returns to Seoul, Kang doesn't waste time before visiting his master. He apologizes for coming later than expected. He explains to the old man that he has a ton of work that he has to do. Cho notices that Kang's skin is tanned, and he assumes that Kang has been working under the sun, not knowing that Kang was enjoying himself under an umbrella at the beach. Cho is surprised that Kang brought a lot of supplies, and he figures out that he is about to disappear for weeks again. Kang assures the man that he is not going anywhere, and that he will be around more often. He tells Cho that he has his license exam the next day, but he will be back in the next couple of days to check on him. However, he will only be able to come over once a week again once the semester begins. After this, Cho tells Kang that he wants to make ramen, and he asks him if he is interested, but Kang says no. Kang crashes to the ground, saying he is tired, and urges the man to enjoy himself. While lying in the snow, Kang realizes that it has been 6 months since he met the old man. He figures out that the story will kick off in 1 year and 6 months, and this is when Seong discovered the secrets that made him strong. However, he discovered it 6 months later, which means there are still at least 2 years before he finds his path. Nonetheless, Kang feels something heavy in his chest. He knows that Cho might suddenly die since he didn't appear in the original story. Suddenly, Cho catches Kang staring at him, and he assumes that he is staring at the noodles that he is preparing. He scolds Kang for staring at his food when he said he was not interested. Kang is forced to reiterate the fact that he is not interested. Suddenly, Kang gets back on his feet, and he tells Cho that he forgot something in the car. Kang rushes out of the snowy plains because he forgot about the Kaoliang liquor that he put in the trunk of the car. He is stressed with the fact that he has to climb down the mountain to get it, but he is ready to do anything for his master. Kang whips out his phone, and he is shocked to see that he has a ton of notifications. There are 30 missed calls and 50 texts on his phone, leaving him stunned. Kang wants to believe that he is being pranked or something. He knows that he usually gets some missed messages and calls whenever he comes out of the portal, but the ones he is currently looking at are way too strange. He is still wondering what might be wrong when Seora's call comes through. Kang excitedly picks up the call, but the first thing he hears from Seora is her calling him a scumbag. Kang is surprised to hear this, but Seora continues by calling him a piece of trash, whom she expected so much from. Kang is utterly surprised, and he asks Seora what she is talking about, but Seora screams at him not to play dumb because what he did is already all over the news. After she is done calling him trash, she drops the call. Kang continues calling her name, but she is already gone. Kang stands there in confusion as he has no idea why Seora is talking trash to him. Just then, Kang sees a news article talking about why he refused the Brave Citizen Award. Someone had posted an article online that Kang is having a relationship with Yunseo, which is why he rejected the award and had her collected on his behalf. There is an image of Yunseo hugging him, which is attached to the article. Kang's eyes light up in shock when he realizes the news is already all over. To make it worse, Kang's identity and image are already circulating all over the internet. The image of Kang and Unseo together in Jeju is also trending everywhere. Unknown to everybody, the person who posted the article and driving the agenda is none other than the lady working with Jong. Kang screams out in rage when he sees the rumor flying around concerning him being a shameless teacher. Kang is still trying to contain his emotions when he gets a call from the vice principal. He picks up the call, and the vice principal reveals that he has been trying to get a hold of him. Kang reveals that he was inside a portal, which is why he wasn't available. Meanwhile, Kim Man-dong's phone is on the loudspeaker and it is placed on his table. Kang asks him if he has seen the article, and the vice principal says yes, but he assures Kang that he knows that he is not that type of person. However, the vice principal points out that the situation concerns the reputation of the school. Since he didn't handle their sparring match very well, Kim Man-dong lets Kang know that he is ready to back him up. Kim Man-dong then asks Kang what he plans to do. Kang replies that he is going to find whoever it is and make them pay for saying trash about his student. Kang then tells the vice principal to hang up because he wants to properly assess the situation. Man-dong acknowledges this and drops the call. It turns out that Yunseo's mother is in his office and she heard the conversation. Man-dong assures the crying woman that Kang is a man of his word and that he will definitely turn the situation around. Apparently, the name that published the article is Nam Ji-min, but Kang doesn't know the name since it doesn't appear anywhere in the original story. Nonetheless, Kang is pissed that an unknown identity just turned his life upside down. He realizes that the new situation is a side story that was formed because of his actions. Just as he suspected, the system informs him about the side story, which is titled The Shameless Teacher. Meanwhile, Jong is behind his screen, making sure that the articles reach every corner of the country so he can finish Kang off. Kang, on the other hand, is enraged, and he knows that whoever the culprit is, they're pretty fugged when he lays his hands on them. Cho is busy enjoying his ramen when Kang returns to the snowy plains. Kang immediately tells him that he will be dropping the liquor, but he is heading out. Cho is blown away by his student's brilliance, and Kang lets him know that he will be back the following week. Just as he is about to step out of the portal, Cho stops him, telling him not to kill anyone. It turns out that Cho can see the rage on Kang's face even if he is trying to hide it. Kang takes his master's words and then heads out. While driving on the highway, Kang starts putting together all those who were with him in Jeju. He knows that Seonhwa and Iseol are the two people who can basically vouch for him. However, he knows that people tend to focus more on what they see and not what they hear. Kang's main problem is how he is going to explain the photos that were released of him and Unseo together. Since the first image has some soldiers there, he thinks of getting statements from the officers in charge. He knows that he is going to have a hard time tracking them all down, but he doesn't mind. The main problem is the image of him locking arms with Unseo on the beach. He remembers that it happened for just a moment, and it shocks him that someone was able to capture the moment. He figures out that the person who captured it obviously wanted to manufacture something that isn't there. Kang tries reaching the said reporter who posted the article, but the number keeps dropping. Even though he is troubled, he realizes that he has to renew his hunter's license first. He enters the building to find it packed with other hunters, who are probably there to clear dungeons or renew their licenses too. Kang has only his sword with him, and he walks up to the attendant to tell him that he is there to renew his hunter's license. The attendant asks to see his ID, and the moment the attendant sees the name, he recognizes Kang. The other hunters also recognize him, and they start wondering why the piece of trash is there. Kang lets the attendant know that he has already checked on his way to the facility and that there is an open slot where he can take the test. The attendant says he has no issues signing him up since he is there to renew his license. However, he tells him that the hunters are pissed off at what happened, and not all of them are ready to work with Kang. Basically, none of the hunters want to be grouped with trash like Kang. The hunters have also looked into Kang, and they have found out that he didn't attend a hunter school either. Everything is basically working against Kang at the moment. Kang cannot believe that everyone already knows his face, and this includes people he has never met in the past. His face has been plastered everywhere with a very bad tag. All the gossip sites and the bloggers were enjoying themselves as they spread Kang's pictures everywhere. Kang realizes that with the way things are going, he will end up getting harassed for the rest of his life. Kang is already frustrated, and he tells the attendant to put him into any group that is available since he doesn't mind. In fact, he is ready to go solo if that is what it takes. The attendant finally decides to assign him to Team E. When Team E learns of this, they start protesting, telling the attendant that they don't need the trash in their team. The attendant urges the hunters to calm their nerves. Since Kang has promised to go solo, he urges them to just ignore him as if he doesn't exist. The attendant then takes him to a portal, telling him that he needs to clear it if he wants his license renewed. Apparently, the portal is a B-rank portal, and Kang is the first to enter. Kang thanks the assistant for his help and proceeds into the dungeon. The attendant tells him not to leave the safe zone before the others on the team join him. The team is disgusted by Kang's presence and decides to stay back a little. They hate Kang so much that one of them even thinks of knocking Kang on the head when they enter the portal. Momentarily, the attendant tells the rest of the team that it is time for them to enter the dungeon since it's been 20 minutes already. The attendant informs them that they have 3 hours to clear the dungeon. Team E finally steps into the portal and is shocked by what they meet inside. The sky was already cleared and it was just the 20-minute mark. They don't want to believe that a B-rank 6-person portal was just cleared in under 20 minutes. The team is still trying to figure out what happened when they spot Kang appear from behind some bushes. He has blood all over him, and his sword is stained with blood everywhere. Kang walks up to the A-rank hunter, who is the leader of the team, scolding him for condemning him when he doesn't even know if he is guilty or not. The A-rank is stunned, and he asks Kang if he cleared the dungeon alone. Kang says he was rushing, which was why he had to take care of the monsters as fast as he could. He tells the team that he has already killed the monsters, so the cleanup and disposal are left to them. The A-rank hunter finally realizes that Kang might actually be overpowered since he didn't bring any gear into the dungeon. Just then, Kang moves closer to him with a terrifying aura, telling him that he wants half of the money that will be made in the dungeon. Since he is leaving to attend to other things, he demands that they send the payment to his account. With a scary voice, he tells the team leader that he knows the value of the merchandise and that they should not try to play tricks with him. After saying this, Kang turns around to leave. The orange-haired dude in the team berates Kang for talking trash to their leader. He asks the leader if he should call Kang back, but unknown to the others, the leader has been able to perceive Kang's true strength, and he wants no problem. He tells the orange-haired dude to just leave Kang and let him go. The attendant is shocked when he sees Kang stepping out of the portal, and he immediately assumes that Kang has done something to the rest of the team since he is all bloodied. Kang urges the dude to calm his nerves because the others are inside, busy cleaning up the monsters. The attendant reveals how shocked he is that Kang is able to clear the dungeon in under 30 minutes. He considers this the fastest record in the last 5 years. Kang then asks him who held the previous record. Apparently, a large guild once entered the portal, and they cleared it in 25 minutes. However, for the solo record, Isiol was able to clear the dungeon in just 40 minutes. When Kang hears this, he is also shocked, and he realizes that he must have pushed himself to the limit because he wanted to finish as fast as possible. Nonetheless, Kang feels a bit relieved as he has been able to unleash his anger and stress on the poor monsters. Once he has concluded his business, Kang leaves but urges the attendant to take care of the team. Minutes later, he puts a call through to Seonhwa. He already told her that he was going to call after the exam. Seonhwa is also shocked to hear that Kang is already done. Kang reveals that he had to hurry because of the current circumstances. Kang then asks Seonhwa if he can meet her reporter friend that she mentioned. Seonhwa assures him that he can, and she lets him know that she's going to be of assistance to him. Not long after this, Kang arrives at Seonhwa's place. Seonhwa shows up at the door to welcome him, and she tells Kang that he appears to have lost weight already. She asks Kang if he has eaten so she can get him something to eat, but he assures her that he is fine. Seonhwa then urges him to enter, assuring him that her friend is preparing the materials already. Kang enters and he meets Seonhwa's reporter friend, Lim Eunji. Lim Eunji introduces herself, revealing that she is from the Dongsuk Daily. Lim reveals that she has heard a lot about Kang from Seonhwa because she won't stop talking about him. Before she can expose Seonhwa, Seonhwa subtly punches her in the knee, causing her to crash to the ground and cry in pain. Seonhwa smiles, telling Kang that she is going in to get him something to drink. After preparing tea for everybody, Lim asks Kang if he is in a romantic relationship with Yunseo, but Kang swears that he is innocent. After this, Lim asks him if he has any evidence or witnesses to support his claim and debunks the articles flying around. Seonhwa is the first to talk, telling Lim that she knows the reason why Kang went to Jeju Island. In addition to this, she has a video recording with her. In the video recording, there are Jung-sik and Yesul vouching for Kang. Kang is shocked when he realizes that 2 people from the Haerang Guild have his back. In the video, they explained why Kang came to Jeju Island in the first place, and the fact that they close from work together every single day. Seonhwa assures Kang that they are ready to bear witness just in case the entire thing ends up in a courtroom. Lim is blown away by the video as she realizes that it is concrete proof that Kang didn't go to Jeju Island because of romance. Just then, they show Kang another piece of evidence that might help him out. It is a video recording of Kim Mandong. He tells the public that he totally trusts Kang. He reveals that the reason Kang declined the award was not to cover up a non-existent romantic trip. He mentions that Kang got a lot of attention when the school had a YouTube channel. Some of the attention was positive, while the majority turned out to be negative. The vice principal says people thought Kang could easily be preyed on because he is not from a hunter school. This caused the school to get so many dual requests, and because of what he faced thanks to the YouTube video, Mandong understands why Kang would want to avoid getting himself in the spotlight. Kang is shocked when he sees the video, as he didn't expect Kim Mandong to go all out for him. Lim then tells Kang that the videos alone should be enough proof that Kang is innocent. Lim tells Kang that she is going to write the article and publish it in no time. She assures him that the misunderstanding will be gone before the school semester resumes. Before Lim leaves, she tells Kang that she contacted the news outlet that first posted the article. They revealed that the reporter named Nam Jimin wasn't the one who wrote the article. Apparently, someone hacked into their system to post the scandalous article. Lim asks Kang if he's made any enemies lately, but nothing of significance comes to his mind. Lim then tells him to be careful because he is probably being targeted, and the next time might be something physical, unlike the news article. Lim basically urges Kang to be careful because she doesn't want to see him as a headline again. Kang thanks her for the advice, and this concludes their meeting. Later that night, Kang lies in bed with relief that Eunseo's name has been cleared. However, he is still worried about who it is that might want to hurt him. He doesn't like the fact that the said person dragged his student, who is a kid, into the whole thing. He basically joined the school so he could have an easy life, but he has found himself caring about his students. Just then, he gets a notification on his phone. He checks out the message, and it turns out to be a solidarity message from his students. They all attach images of where they are holding Kang or where he did something good for them, claiming that they are also his girlfriend if an image of him and Eunseok automatically makes them a couple. Jinsu shows an image of himself and the teacher eating ice cream together and says this is a perfect representation of his love life with the teacher. Kang sees this, and he is moved to tears. He realizes that he only wanted an easy life, which is why he became a teacher, but somehow, the students have become a part of him, even though he doesn't think he has done anything special for them. He can't believe that his students are always there to support him, even if the whole world turned its back on him. He realizes that it is not only the students who have his back, but the vice principal, Jungsik, Iseol, Seonhwa, and basically everyone he has met. Kang shed tears without holding back and admitted that he must have been living a good life for them to stand up for him. Just then, he receives a text from Seora, apologizing to him for calling him trash. She then tells Kang that she has managed to help in the way she can. She leaves an address and password in the text she sent to Kang, telling him that whatever he finds there will definitely solve most of his problems. It turns out that Seora has turned herself into Catwoman and has managed to track down Jong and her accomplice. She has tied them up in a warehouse after shaving part of their hair and is just waiting for Kang to come and find them. Shortly afterward, Kang arrives at the warehouse to find Jong and his accomplice, the lady from the beach. They have been tied to a chair, and Seora also put duct tape on their mouths. Kang sees a laptop on the table and uses the password Seora gave him to check out the laptop. He is horrified when he realizes that Jong has cooked up a lot of bad images and articles to destroy him. It turns out that Jong was still bitter about his loss in the duel and had been acting recklessly toward Kang because of it. Kang wastes no time before calling the police to the scene. While Jong is being led to the car, Jong tells Kang that he will be back for him, and he threatens to start with the people around him. The moment Kang hears this, he goes into feral mode and he grabs Jong by his shirt, daring him to come after him again. Kang initially tells him that he is going to beat him to a pulp, but he changes it up and lets him know that if he tries to mess with the people around him, he is going to send him to God for judgment. Jong can sense the killing instinct coming from Kang, and this scares the crap out of him. The policemen are forced to drag Kang away so he doesn't tear Jong's head off right there. Later on, a news report comes out vindicating Kang of everything that he was accused of. Thanks to the testimonies of the big names, the public opinion on Kang totally changed for the better. Kang visits his master, and he tells him what happened. Cho is disappointed that people switched up on him without even waiting for concrete evidence. Cho then admits that a rumor is pretty dangerous. Cho also tells Kang that students are pretty commendable for going to such lengths for him. Kang then tells the old man that he considers himself lucky with people. The school even told him to take a leave of absence, but he refused because he didn't want his students to worry. Cho praises him for his ingenuity, telling him that he has to repay their kindness with his good teachings. Because of this, Kang tells the old man that he has a request. He asks him if he knows about the 3-talent sword method. This is a sword method composed of the basic skills of horizontal cut, vertical cut, and thrust. It is basically a lowly rated martial art, but Kang believes that it would be good to teach the kids. He wants to know if the old man has any idea about the skill. Cho replies that he doesn't know the 3-talent sword method, and he questions Kang's curiosity about it when he has not even finished learning the one he is currently learning. Kang then explains better to Cho, and Cho finally realizes that he was talking about the usual sword cuts method. Cho was totally confused because of the use of talents in the name. Kang then asks the old man if he knows any other technique aside from the one he has learned. Cho says yes, but he wants to know why Kang wants them. Kang reveals that he wants to teach his students so he can know that he has finally done something special for them. Cho disputes this, saying it is not a must for him to teach them martial arts. Cho then reveals that there was something he learned from the 3-bong dude when he went to the Wudong Mountain many years back. Kang is curious about what it is, and Cho reveals that the dude was good at medicinal herbs, which pushed him to produce amazing medicinal potions. Apparently, Cho was given the go-ahead to give it to his disciple if he ever took one under his wings. Kang is surprised that Cho didn't give it to him in the first place, and Cho lets him know that he has already helped him build his physique past the stage where he needs it. Kang believes that it is a tonic, but Cho corrects him, telling him that the herbs might not increase inner energy, but the effects are still amazing. Cho lets him know that it is easy to prepare, and he considers it the best gift that Kang can give his students. Cho then asks him if he is willing to learn it, and he says yes. When Kang resumes class, the herb is the first thing he gives to his students. After a sip, they start vomiting it up, as they complain that it tastes like poison. Kang cannot believe that the punks he calls his students are vomiting what should be helping their bodies. Jinsu also complains, but Kang doesn't waste time punishing him with an extra lap during their running activities. Kang lets them know that they have no choice because for the next 2 months, the first thing they will do is to drink the medicinal concoction. However, he lets them know that they are free not to drink it if that is what they really want. When Jinsu hears this, he realizes that it might actually be good for him if he drinks it. Since they are not in the class to take lectures for the day, Kang suggests that they say their goodbyes and disperse the class. The class president, Young Min-hee, stands up and the entire class follows. Just like a military salute, the students pay their respects to Kang, urging him to take care of them just like he did the past semester. The students start praising him, telling him that he is handsome and that he shouldn't quit. It finally dawned on Kang that the students were worried that he was going to quit the school. Once the students figure out that they still have their teacher with them, they finally disperse from the class. After the kids are gone, Seora shows up in the class. Kang is surprised and he asks her why she has come to see him. It turns out that Antas is now seriously interested in Kang and they have sent Seora yet again. Kang already knew that they were going to come because he had made lots of noise in the recent months. Realizing that the situation is now dire, Kang calls out some names for Seora to hear. Seora is initially confused until Kang reveals that the names are the key figures in Antas. He wants Seora to warn Antas to back off or else he will expose their top key figures. Seora is shocked to hear this, and she asks Kang how he knows the things that he knows. Kang replies that he simply did an investigation on his own. He also assures Seora that Antas won't touch her because they will be scared. Kang remembers what Jungsik told him about how he can't hide forever. Kang has now come to the realization that he has connected with so many people that there is no longer a turning back for him. Kang has finally accepted the fact that the original story has changed because of everything he has done from the beginning. Since this is the case, Kang has made up his mind to leave his attachment to the original stories and just make changes where necessary. Seora hears him talking about this, but it sounds like gibberish to her, and Kang is not even ready to explain. He simply tells her that he is looking forward to the new semester with her. Kang walks away smiling because he is just about to finally start his life. Soon afterward, Kang's students start seeing the importance of the medicinal herb that Kang is feeding them. The herbal tonic was given another name among them, which is the bitter water. Some of them have their grades go up, which is thanks to the medicinal concoction. Because of how bitter it is, most of them started using it to prevent drowsiness and also aid their digestion. The students have also had their stamina go up before the midterm exams. Everyone was surprised when the sword class achieved a crushing result. The other teachers are forced to ask Kang what it is that he fed his students to totally change them. Apparently, the students are almost at the same level as the third-year ranger majors. Kang is glad to be receiving the praise, but at the same time, he plans to make the students work harder since they have gotten stronger than before. In no time, they reached the end of the second semester. On the final day of class, Kang tells his students not to go on break and start playing around because there is a midterm evaluation after the holiday ends. Once the announcement is over, the students scatter and head home. Just then, Kang notices that Unseo and Yunsu are staying back. He asks them why they are not going with their mates, and the two reveal that they have something that they need to tell him. The two tell Kang that they are planning to apply for the martial arts tournaments, and they want to know where their teacher stands on it. Apparently, the martial arts tournament is an open tournament to all students from all hunter schools in the country. Since there are no rankings there, the third years usually get the best results. Kang then remembers that they talked about the tournament during the faculty meeting some days ago, but his mind had totally skipped it. This is because he wasn't expecting his students, who are first-year students, to be interested in the tournament. The girls reveal that they want to apply in advance since the preliminary stage starts by November. They are conflicted about it, which is why they need Kang's advice to see if it is a good idea or not. Kang tells the two that they might have difficulties against the second and third-year students, who already have experience in the competition. The girls agree with him, saying that they are going to end up tarnishing his image if they attend the competition. Kang is shocked to hear this, and he demands an explanation for what they just said. Apparently, when Kim Se-jin was still a first-year student, she tried applying, but her teacher back then restricted her, telling her that it would be a disgrace to his name if she went into the competition to lose. However, Kim Se-jin didn't give up, and she was able to later get approval from the vice principal. Kang is impressed by this, and he realizes that her resilience is one of the reasons why she is the student council president. Kang then tells the girls that they are free to register in the competition because he doesn't care about his trash reputation. The two are happy to hear this, and Kang urges them to pass the preliminaries. Kang also urges them not to skip the special classes that will be organized for the competition. The girls are surprised to hear this, and they ask Kang if he will be the one teaching them. Kang replies that he has no idea who is in charge, but it is not him. The girls demand to know why he is not the one in charge, and Kang reminds them that he is a rookie and they will most likely pick an experienced teacher from the third year. The girls are not pleased with the standard since they consider Kang to be the best swordsmanship teacher in the entire school. Kang knows that the girls are trying to flatter him into accepting, but he assures them that he has no interest because he is going to be busy. Because the special classes are in the evening and on weekends, it is a no-no for Kang. With a bright smile on his face, Kang tells the girls that he is going to submit their list to the vice principal, so all they need to do is prepare themselves for the competition. Kang reaches the vice principal's office only to get hit with another shocker. Apparently, the vice principal has appointed Kang to be in charge of the special classes. Kang tries to dodge the responsibility by reminding the vice principal that he is a rookie and other experienced teachers should be put in charge, but Kim Man-dong insists that Kang is the special lesson teacher. It turns out that Kim Man-dong has spoken to all of the potential teachers, but they all turned down the offer. Kim Man-dong realizes that Kang is being difficult, and he suggests that they make a deal just like the last time. Kang replies that Kim Man-dong wasn't ready to honor the deal that they made, and because of this, he is doubtful of making another deal with Kim Man-dong. Man-dong then mentions something peculiar. He learned that Kang has not met the conditions for the A-rank promotion test yet. Kang agrees with this, but says he is already aiming for the following year. Man-dong then smiles, telling Kang that he has an opportunity for him to be promoted to A-rank without delay. Kang hears this, and he becomes interested. The vice principal reveals that a recommendation from him, an S-rank hunter, will give him the chance to take the promotion examination. Man-dong is pretty sure that Kang is going to pass. The deal is a very sweet one for Kang to just overlook. He knows that becoming an A-rank hunter means more money for him. Kang then asks if he can adjust the schedule since he is not going to be available on some days. Once they are in agreement, Kang steps out of the office. Kang intentionally accepted the offer just because he knew that his Man-dong might come in clutch one day. Kang stares at the list in front of him, and he realizes that 2 of the current applicants are from the first year, while the last student, Kim Se-jin, is from the third-year class. Since Kang has not seen Kim Se-jin since the duel, he hopes that she is doing well for herself. Meanwhile, Kim Se-jin is training herself to the death just so she can catch up to Kang's level. When Kang goes to the snowy plains, he tells the old man of his plans to train harder, leaving him shocked. He wonders why someone who is always trying to skip training is suddenly asking for more. He even suspects that he had killed someone and was running away from the authorities. Kang can only explain that he wants to get stronger than what he originally planned to be. Since he has decided that he will start making his own decisions, Kang wants to get stronger in case of any blowback. He also doesn't know what would happen when the world goes into chaos, but he wants to be ready to protect those close to him. Just then, he asks the old man if he can now read the writing from the outside world, and Cho says yes, claiming that it is not difficult. Just then, Kang shows the old man a swordsmanship book, telling him to take a look at it. Cho takes a look at the said swordsmanship textbook used in the outside world and concludes that it is nothing but trash. He says the techniques in the book are not even worth being considered third-rate martial arts. Kang smiles when he realizes that the old man thinks the same as him, and he tells the old man that his decision to stay in the snowy plains for the entire break is not for his own selfish interest. Apparently, he had come up with an idea when he started thinking about how to handle the special classes. Since Cho has fought against all kinds of weapons, Kang tells him that there are also textbooks on other weapons. He wants to know if he will be able to defeat the other weapons if he learned from Cho. When the old man hears this, he grins. and he concludes that Kang has an interesting idea. Cho realizes that Kang is basically asking him for a non-combat sparring match. This is the type of sparring match that takes place only with the use of words. It apparently doesn't improve skills like in a real fight, but it helps to find errors to perfect one's martial theories. Kang came up with the idea that if a grandmaster like Cho can help identify the weakness of modern martial arts, then he can teach them. With this, Kang can then teach the kids how to counter every single weapon. Kang is pretty sure that they will be unstoppable if they can master what he wants to teach them. In no time, Kang and Cho get down to training. In one of the sessions, Kang is able to sneak up behind Cho and try to land a hit on him. Even with the surprise attack, Cho is still able to block it, leaving a blasting effect. This continued for the entire holiday as they trained while taking notes about the entire session. Just as usual, Kang gets beaten up by his master sometimes for always acting like a punk. Kang and Cho had the time to bond well over everything, including ramen, and Kang considers this an enjoyable holiday for him. After the break, Kang gets to taste another flavor of food, which is not ramen, when he returns to the school's cafeteria. Kang is having an awkward moment with himself when Kim Se-jin shows up to greet him. Apparently the third years are the first to eat, which is why they ended up running into each other. They head to the training room, and Kim suggests that they have a sparring match. Kang simply declines, telling the girl that his stomach will hurt since he just finished eating. Waiting for Kang in the training room are his troublesome students. It turns out that Min-hee and Jin-soo also joined the two sisters in applying for the competition. There are now a total of 4 first-year students and 1 third-year student. Kang is relieved that they are not more than 5, which is a number he should be able to manage. Jin-soo asks Kang if they are going to be having classes on weekends, and Kang says yes, telling him that the principal made the order, so if he wants to complain, he should know who to go to. While everyone else is complaining about the overstretched schedule, Kim Se-jin is ready to even have classes on Sundays. Jin-soo stares at the workaholic lady, asking her why she likes to be a pain in the arse. Min-hee then raises her hand, suggesting that they have more practical classes instead of theory classes. Kang lets them know that they will focus more on sparring, but they won't forget about theoretical classes. Kim Se-jin then raises her hand, asking if she can train alone from the rest of the team. Kang can see through Kim that she is desperate to be the best. He wonders who it is that she is trying to prove a point to during the competition. Kang then brings out his new book, and he hands it over to the kids. The textbook is titled Countering Style. Kim was initially disappointed as she didn't show interest, but when she opened the book and realized what was packed inside, her mind was blown away. The rest don't quickly grasp the situation, as they think Kang is trying to teach them how to use other weapons aside from swords. They complain that it would be hard for them to learn other weapons and even magic, but Kang smiles while telling them that Kim Se-jin is the only sensible one out of them. He urges them to read the title of the book again, and this is when it dawns on them that it is a counter-style book, not a book on how to use the said weapons. Kim realizes that if she masters the techniques in the book, she will practically be unstoppable against other weapons. Kim had always thought she could train really hard and get to Kang's level, but she now realizes that Kang is a different level of genius. A week after taking on the special class, Kang comes up with the idea to have a theoretical class on the first day and a sparring session on the next. Iseol has also joined to help train the kids. Kang even asked Seonhwa for help to heal the kids whenever they feel tired. Kang rotates this to help the students gain experience. Apparently, the first-year students will be going on a training camp, and Kang is already thinking of free time for himself. But in the end, the vice principal ruins it yet again. He tells Kang that he wants him to be the training camp instructor. Kang tries to remind the man that he is just a swordsmanship instructor and not a homeroom teacher, but the man insists, reminding him of the recommendation letter, which is at stake. In the end, Kang had no choice but to go to the training camp. Seonhwa asks Kang if he prepared any herbal concoctions for the kids, and he says yes. Kang says the herbal medicine is good to help the kids grow since they are still in their growing stage. They have received tremendous changes in their bodies since they started drinking the herbs. After one of the sparring sessions, Iseol offers to help Kang clean up, but he refuses, telling the lady that she has done enough already. Kang then heads to the locker to get his things, but Kim Se-jin appears behind him, startling him. Kang asks Kim why she hasn't left yet, and he fears that she might be there to ask for a sparring match. Kim says she is not there to spar with him but has something that she needs to tell him. She hesitantly reveals that she won't be able to come to class this coming Saturday. Kang is shocked when he hears this, and he starts wondering why and what could be the reason. Usually, Kang would be happy that he has one less student to teach, but he realizes that he has been so passionate about teaching the students. Even Kim Se-jin was moved to tears when she announced the news to the teacher. Kang finds solace in the fact that it is just one Saturday. After this, the two sit outside to talk. The only thing Kang was able to offer the girl was his herbal concoction. It turns out that Kim Sejin is going on a real hunt every weekend starting from this coming Saturday. Sejin reveals that she would have loved to stay behind and get guidance from her teacher, but she has no choice. Kang also finds it strange that Sejin is going for practical lessons on a weekend, which is against the rules. Sejin then reveals that her father has already said he will be talking to the vice principal about it. Kang doesn't think the vice principal would agree because he is quite stubborn, and he asks Sejin if her father is friends with the vice principal. This is when Sejin reveals that her father is the guild master of the Aries Guild. Kang cannot believe that Sejin is also from a rich home. Sejin then reveals that her real target is not the martial arts tournament that is held in the country. Sejin says she is only participating in the tournament so she can qualify for the WHCU 19 ticket. The WHCU 19, also known as the World Hunter Championship Under 19, is a World Hunter Championship for aspiring hunters under the age of 19. Kang then mentions that Sejin will be able to go there if she wins the martial arts tournament. Kang realizes that Sejin hasn't even reached anywhere in the tournament, but she is already dreaming of the championship. However, he believes that Sejin is worthy since she is a two-time back-to-back winner of the martial arts tournament. Because of this, people have already speculated that she will be the winner of the current year's tournament. Sejin then reveals that she went for the championship, and Kang expected to hear something good because of her insane skills, but Sejin reveals that she lost in the first match. Sejin was unlucky to have been matched up against the girl who won the last championship, and she easily defeated Kim Sejin. However, Sejin doesn't blame this on luck because she believes that she would have done better against her opponent if she had the right skills. When Kang hears this, he pats Sejin on the head. Kang tells Sejin that he is proud of her because most people tend to be lenient with themselves, but Sejin is always pushing herself. Sejin's face turns red when she hears her teacher's acknowledgement. Kang then stands up, telling the girl that he is going to leave, but urges her to stay behind to get some more fresh air. Before leaving, Kang tells Sejin to see her loss to the champion as the runner-up, not as a situation where she was eliminated. Kang leaves by assuring Sejin that she did pretty well and should not be discouraged. After he is gone, Sejin gets a call from her father, and her entire mood goes from bright to downright bad. She tells her father that she didn't quickly pick up his call because she was listening to a counseling session, but her father berates her, telling her that the only advice she needs is the one coming from him. Sejin just stands there in disappointment, as she doesn't know what to say. The Aries Guild is also a prestigious guild, and Sejin's father, who is an S-rank hunter, is the master of the guild. In the original story, the heir to the guild left to create her own guild, called Dawn. The name of the heir was Kim Seyeon. Kim Seyeon was a stubborn character who hated her parents so much that she had to change her name. The original protagonist, Kim Do-hyun, ended up learning in the Dawn Guild, and Kim Seyeon fell in love with him in the process. It finally dawns on Kang what he has been missing from the beginning. He has been wondering why Kim Sejin, who is obviously a skilled person, didn't appear in the original story. Kang was thinking Sejin was just an impressive side character, but he finally figured out that Sejin was the one who changed her name to Seyeon, and she was the one who created the guild, Dawn. It finally becomes clear to him that Sejin is the female protagonist that he has been missing. Well guys, that's the end of the video. If you like this video, comment next part in the comment section. Also subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and like the video. Thank you for watching and see you next time again.